Chapter 35-26. Hey Shinjio, who was regarded as a godly beast. Everyone gathered around and said, "It seems that the demonic beast is still alive. It's just hiding in the turtle shell. But why isn't there any spiritual energy fluctuation?" Someone said uncertainly, "When it came out of the sea, there seemed to be a weak spiritual energy fluctuation. But I thought it was from other fish or small sea beasts in the sea. I didn't expect that it was still alive. I'm really curious about what kind of sea beast it is. Quickly think of a way to get its head out." Along with the chattering, some people began to use swords and knives to look for cracks on the turtle shell, trying to open it. However, after searching for a long time, they still couldn't find any cracks. Someone suggested, "Senior Brother Wang, your spiritual power is the highest. You might as well smash the turtle shell with a spiritual weapon. That way the thing inside will have no place to hide." Senior Brother Wang frowned. If we smash its shell, it might not be able to survive. He had never seen such a sea beast before. It was better to bring it back and let the sect deal with it. If the species is very rare, we can raise it in the spirit beast garden. Obviously, the rest of the people followed Senior Brother Wang's lead. Therefore, someone echoed, "That's good too. Otherwise, if this thing is really rare, it would be a pity if it was killed by us. Senior Brother Wang, in order to prevent this thing from escaping, you can put it into the spirit beast bag." The spirit beast pouch in Towering Sky Continent was the same as Yun Chujia's spirit beast pouch. It could take in spirit beasts that did not recognize its owner. Therefore, Senior Brother Wang nodded and prepared to put the bastard shell into his spirit beast pouch. However, after trying several times, he could not put it in. Everyone was stunned. What was going on? At first, everyone thought that there was something wrong with Senior Brother Wang's spirit beast pouch. However, after the others tried a few times, they found that they could not put it in and immediately exploded. "Oh my God! What's going on? This turtle shell cannot be put into the storage ring or the spiritual beast bag. What the hell is this? Yeah, it's really weird. I've never heard of such a thing." Everyone was more and more interested in the Big 8 shell. They kept knocking and testing it. Hey Shinjio, who was inside, wanted to bang her head against the wall because of the noise. At this moment, someone exclaimed, "I know. This thing might be an immortal beast or a divine beast. Although our spirit beast bag can hold a spirit beast that doesn't recognize its owner, if it's an immortal beast or a divine beast, there's no way to keep it if it doesn't recognize its owner." The rest of the people were stunned at first. Then they looked at the Big 8 shell with burning eyes and said excitedly, "It makes sense. What you said makes sense. This thing has a turtle shell. Could it be a divine beast, black tortoise?" After hearing this person's words, everyone became even more excited. If it really was a divine beast, they had made a great contribution this time, and they would definitely receive a lot of rewards when they returned to the sect. "Senior Brother Wang, in order to prevent this divine beast from escaping, you'd better quickly use the restraining talisman and the beast binding rope to control it. Then we'll take turns to watch it. No matter what, we can't let this big treasure escape." "Right. Even if we don't sleep, we have to watch it. This will affect our future." As expected, Senior Brother Wang took out a few confinement talismans from his storage ring and stuck them on the Big King's 8 shell. Then he tied the Big King's 8 shell tightly with the beast binding rope. Hey Shinjio, who was inside the Big King's 8 shell, wanted to cry but had no tears. How could she suddenly become a beast? Damn it, I don't want to live anymore. Chapter 35-27 was waiting as they were afraid that the beast Hey Shinjio would run away. Those people stared at her day and night. Not only did they have the confinement talismans and beast binding ropes, but they also made a large iron cage overnight to put the turtle shell inside. Hey Shinjio secretly peeked through the gap to see the scene. She gave up the idea of running away and prepared to find an opportunity to escape after she got ashore. As for the imprisonment talismans and beast binding ropes, they were all aimed at the 8 shells of the Great King. They did not affect her in the slightest, not to mention that this fellow also had a large kitchen knife in his hand. What this fellow was more curious about was the identity of these people. From their words, Hey Shinjio was surprised to discover that these people were not from the Li-Hate Palace. Furthermore, from their words, it seemed like they belonged to a very large sect. This was really strange. There was such a large sect on the Towering Sky Continent? Why had she never heard of it before? From what everyone knew, it seemed that the Li-Hate Palace was already the ruler of the Towering Sky Continent. Hey Shinjio thought back to when she had asked about her father's whereabouts. The gigolo had said that it was a faction that she could not provoke. Could it be that there was a bigger and stronger faction outside the Li-Hate Palace? However, it was also true. The gigolo was so powerful, but he could only hide his strength and bide his time when facing his enemy. There must be an even more terrifying faction. Hei Xingjiu suddenly felt that she was getting weaker and weaker. It was rare for this fellow to have the initiative. He sat inside the king's 8 shells and began to cultivate. Just like that, nearly half a month had passed and the big ship finally docked. Senior brother Wang and the others put the 8 shells of the big king onto the flying spirit tool, and everyone finally let out a long breath. This thing was a Seaborn demon beast, and it would definitely not be able to escape this time. Seeing that they had already reached the shore, Hei Xingjiu quickly took out Di Baiming's voice transmission talisman. This guy told her about his situation in a short sentence. Soon, Di Baiming's cold voice came from the other side. Wait. Hei Xingjiu, it seemed that the pretty boy had already taken the antidote because his voice had already recovered, and this line felt somewhat familiar. However, did the pretty boy know where she would be taken? Could it be that he knew this place? With Di Baiming's reply, Hei Xingjiu's heart inexplicably calmed down. This fellow thought of the matter of the East Phoenix country again, and hurriedly took out Prime Minister Sima's voice transmission talisman, asking about the progress of the matter. Prime Minister Sima said with an excited trembling voice, "Your Majesty, I finally have news of you. This old subject is worried to death. Don't worry, the Star Sun Kingdom has already been taken down by our 4-kingdom alliance and is currently attacking the Ghost Gold Kingdom and the Winged Fire Kingdom. Although the situation is extremely advantageous to us, I estimate that we will need at least 3 months to half a year before we can take it down." Yun Chujio was very satisfied and gave a few instructions. Then, Prime Minister Sima said guiltily, "Your Majesty, the young prince has suddenly disappeared. However, after young Master Di appeared and told me that he had taken the young prince away, I didn't dare to ask further." You won't blame me, right? Yun Chujio almost laughed out loud. Since the pretty boy had already taken the antidote, the pretty boy had naturally disappeared. Hei Xingjiu comforted Prime Minister Sima for a while before she finally felt relieved. At least, before the Ghost Gold Kingdom and the Winged Fire Kingdom were taken down, the 3 kingdoms of the Lu Earth Kingdom would not give up. As long as she could return to the East Phoenix Kingdom within 3 months, it would not be a problem. The gigolo thought of Xue Wuji again, so he took out his voice transmission talisman and sent a message to Xue Wuji. On the other side, Xue Wuji almost passed out from laughter after receiving Hei Xingjiu's voice transmission talisman. Ha ha ha. Little sister Jiao has been treated as a divine beast. Damn, I'm dying of laughter. Chapter 35-28. He could not escape from little ninth sister's grasp, and Feng, who was standing beside Xue Wuji, saw this and moved closer to Xue Wuji and asked, "Young Master Wuji, what did you say? Ninth Miss was treated as a divine beast?" Xue Wuji managed to stop his laughter with much difficulty. Yes, little ninth sister said that she accidentally entered the firmament sea and was treated as a divine beast by some sect disciples who wanted to bring her back to the sect. And Feng, although ninth miss was a little freakish, she shouldn't be taken as a divine beast, right? Seeing that Enfeng was confused, Xue Wuji smiled and told him what Yun Chujio had told him. Enfeng suddenly understood, then he said worriedly, "According to ninth miss, she probably went to the northern continent of Towering Sky Continent. Ninth miss was caught because she was unfamiliar with the place. There won't be any danger, right?" Xue Wuji curled his lips. "Don't worry. Didn't that facial paralysis leave in a hurry? He must have rushed to save little ninth sister. Let me tell you, let alone sealing 7 emotions and 6 desires, even if that facial paralysis seals his brain, he won't be able to escape from little ninth sister's palm." Although Enfeng did not dare to agree with Xue Wuji's words, he agreed in his heart. Not to mention other things, their venerable one had to seal 7 emotions and 6 desires again every time he met ninth miss. What did this mean? This meant that their honored master could not withstand ninth miss charm at all. Putting everything else aside, even if ninth miss turned into a baby, she could still provoke their honored master to break the seal. Their honored master could be considered to have been eaten alive by ninth miss. Yun Chujio chatted with Xue Wuji for a while, and her mood became brighter and brighter. She counted on her fingers and waited for the pretty boy to save her. However, before Di Baiming arrived, the flying spirit tool landed. The sound of someone talking came from outside. It was probably senior brother Wang and the others who had already arrived at the sect and were chatting with the disciples guarding the gate. "Senior brother Wang, why didn't you put the turtle shell into your storage ring? Why did you use someone to carry it?" a person asked curiously. Senior brother Wang and the others probably didn't want to cause any more trouble, so they said vaguely, "This turtle shell is a little damp. Bring it out to see the sun." After Senior Brother Wang finished speaking, he hurriedly brought his people into the sect. The few disciples guarding the gate looked at each other, their faces full of confusion. What did they mean by bringing it out to see the sun? Could it be that these people had gone out for a trial and damaged their heads? Senior Brother Wang and the others were afraid that there would be more complications, so they carried the 8 shells of the Big King and ran to the Spirit Beast Garden within the sect. When the disciples guarding the Spirit Beast Garden saw Senior Brother Wang and the others, they frowned. You can't enter and leave the Spirit Beast Garden at will. Do you have a token or a document? Senior Brother Wang pointed at the turtle shell that was being carried by someone and said, Senior Brother, we have found a rare spirit beast in the vault of Heaven's Sea. We are going to bring it here to let Elder Zhuge of the Spirit Beast Garden identify it and see what kind of spirit beast it is. The 2 disciples guarding the gate glanced at Wang Baka. They pursed their lips and said, This is the savage dragon blood turtle. Although it has the black tortoise bloodline, the probability of awakening the distant ancestor's bloodline is very, very small. It is not considered a remarkable spirit beast. You'd better hurry up and get rid of it. The Spirit Beast Garden doesn't accept such low-grade spirit beasts. Inside the Big King's 8 shells, He Xinjia's heart moved. This disciple's words were exactly the same as what the gigolo had said. It seemed that the little bastard's mother was the savage dragon blood turtle. However, Senior Brother Wang and the others felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on them. Their excitement instantly vanished into nothingness. At this moment, Senior Brother Wang's eyes suddenly lit up, and he said, Senior Brother, although the chances of the savage dragon blood turtle awakening the distant ancestor's bloodline is very small, it is still possible. This savage dragon blood turtle cannot be put into my spirit beast pouch. This means that its grade is at least that of an immortal beast. Chapter 35-29 Your whole family is a turtle. The 2 disciples guarding the Spirit Beast Garden frowned. Apparently they didn't quite believe Senior Brother Wang's words. They looked at each other. One of them tried it, but actually didn't manage to put the 8 shells of Wang into the storage ring or the Spirit Beast bag. Senior Brother Wang and the others couldn't help but feel relieved when they saw the surprised expressions on their faces. They even said that this thing wasn't qualified to enter the Spirit Beast Garden. Now you see it, right? You should be scared to death. The attitude of the 2 disciples immediately changed. One of them said, Wait a moment, I'll go and report to Elder Zhuge. After that disciple said that, he ran away as fast as a wisp of smoke. He Xinjiu, who was inside the bastard's shell, felt as if her heart was bickering with a dog. Once that Elder Zhuge came, he would definitely think of a way to get rid of this bastard's shell. At that time she would have nowhere to hide. Wouldn't she be dead? This fellow hurriedly sent a voice transmission talisman to Di Biming, asking him how long it would take for him to arrive. As short as 3 days, as long as 5 days. Think of a way to save your life first. Di Biming's reply was still very short. When He Xinjiu heard his reply, she was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Indeed, after being sealed with 7 emotions and 6 desires, she had become an ingrate. Think of a way by herself? What solution could she think of? Could she really turn herself into a big bastard? Just as He Xinjiu was gnashing her teeth in anger, she heard hurried footsteps. Then she heard an old man's voice, Are you talking about this savage dragon blood turtle? He Xinjiu cursed in her heart. You are the fucking turtle. Your whole family is a turtle, a nest of big bastards. Elder Zhuge, we found this savage dragon blood turtle in the firmament sea. At first we thought it was an empty shell, but we couldn't put it into the storage ring or the spirit beast bag. Do you think it's an immortal or divine beast? Senior Brother Wang asked in an excited tone. Elder Zhuge looked at the big bastard shell carefully, then he smiled. This is just an empty shell of the savage dragon blood turtle. As for the fact that it can't be put into the spirit beast bag, I guess there must be a person hiding inside. What's the matter? Why aren't you coming out at this time? He Xinjiu originally knew that she wouldn't be able to fool him for long. Now that she heard that the other party had already said so much, she had no choice but to let the little bastard open the turtle shell and come out from inside. Of course, before he came out, he had already adjusted the hidden spirit ring to the first level of the spiritualization realm and had taken a disguise pill. Everyone thought Elder Zhuge's words were unbelievable. How could there be someone inside? However, when they saw He Xinjiu come out, they were all stunned. Senior Brother Wang and the others in particular had an indescribable expression on their faces. They were disappointed that the bastard was not a divine beast, and they were shocked that none of them had discovered that a little girl was hiding inside. Of course, some of them were angry out of embarrassment. They looked at He Xinjiu with hostility. It was all because of this little girl that they had become the laughingstock of the entire sect. How outrageous. He Xinjia's face was filled with gratitude. She bowed to Senior Brother Wang and the others. Thank you for saving my life, heroes. If it weren't for the heroes, I would have died in the vault of Heaven's Sea. You are indeed worthy to be the disciples of a famous sect. You are quite chivalrous. I am truly grateful to you. Senior Brother Wang and the others' expressions were like mutts. How were they supposed to answer? Could they ask her why she was a human and not a big bastard? Chapter 35:30 The honored guest had arrived. They had originally thought that they had been lucky this time. If they had found a divine beast, they might have been promoted to inner sect disciples. Even if it was a divine beast, it would at least reward them with many sect contribution points. But now it had turned into a living person. A little girl had come out of it. It was simply like seeing a ghost. Seeing that Senior Brother Wang and the others were silent, Yun Chujio looked at the old man at the side. After bowing, she said with a sincere face, Elder Zhuge, I can't thank you enough for your kindness. Lin Chuchu will never forget your kindness for saving my life. I will definitely repay you heavily in the future. Well, since there's nothing else, I'll take my leave now. He Xinjiu was about to run away as she spoke. What a joke. If she didn't leave now, would she be punished by others? Just as Elder Zhuge was about to say something, the sound of an ancient bell rang out. Elder Zhuge's expression changed immediately. Not only him but the rest of the people also changed their expressions. He Xinjiu did not care whether the people's expressions changed or not. She was about to run away when she heard Elder Zhuge shout, Stop. You can leave but not now. We will send you out of Chaotian sect after we welcome our distinguished guests. He Xinjiu was so frightened by Elder Zhuge's shout that she shivered. She cursed in her heart, What bullshit Chaotian sect? Why wasn't it called Chaotian Pepper? Although this fellow cursed in her heart, he nodded obediently on the surface. Yes, I found out. Elder Zhuge was obviously not thinking about her. He said perfunctorily, The distinguished guest will be here soon. Everyone hurry up and welcome him outside the mountain gate. Elder Zhuge glanced at He Xinjiu again. You follow him too. He Xinjiu felt as if a dog was bickering in her heart. She was not this so-called Chaotian Pepper. A disciple of Chaotian sect. Why would she go out? However, this guy rolled his eyes. When they were outside the mountain gate, she could take the opportunity to slip away. It would be good to follow him out. Therefore, this guy nodded obediently and followed Elder Zhuge out. Actually, it was mainly because He Xinjia's spiritual power was too low. Therefore, whether it was Elder Zhuge or Senior Brother Wang, they didn't take her seriously and didn't think that she would dare to cause any trouble. Of course, Senior Brother Wang and the others looked at her with unkind eyes. It was only because of Elder Zhuge and He Xinjia's flattery that they didn't flare up. He Xinjiu had saved her life for the time being, so she was in the mood to look around. At a glance, this fellow secretly clicked his tongue in his heart. Gosh, this Chaotian sect might not have a good name, but its grandeur was quite something. Although she only saw the scenery from the Spirit Beast Garden to the mountain gate, one could tell from a glimpse that this Chaotian sect wasn't simple at all. He Xinjiu also noticed that many people had rushed to the mountain gate at the same time, as if they were reincarnated. He Xinjiu cursed in her heart. What kind of important figure was it that made these people so attentive? However, this important figure had come at a bad time. If he hadn't come, perhaps Elder Zhuge would have let her go. Just because of this, she didn't have a good impression of the important figure that she was about to meet. Some of the people who rushed to the mountain gate were distracted and looked at Yin Chujio. After all, the people of Chaotian sect had changed into the sect's attire to welcome the distinguished guests. She was the only one who was dressed differently from the others. Moreover, her spiritual power was so low that it made people's hair stand on end. Where did this little girl come from? Chapter 35-31 Tower Master Luochen Yun Chujio followed Elder Zhuge to the outside of the mountain gate. At this moment, the mountain gate was already filled with people. He Xinjiu estimated roughly that there were at least 10,000 people. This fellow was even more astonished in his heart. It seemed that Chaotian sect was indeed a big sect. This fellow had already learned from Shui Wuji that she was now in the northern continent of Towering Sky Continent. Although he was shocked, he was still somewhat mentally prepared. These disciples stood according to their ranks. Elder Zhuge's status in Chaotian sect was not low, so he naturally had to walk to the front row. He Xinjiu, this fellow, wanted to slip away for a while, thus she shamelessly followed behind Elder Zhuge to the front row. The people of Chaotian sect didn't know Yun Chujio's identity, but Senior Brother Wang and the others did. However, they were afraid of embarrassing themselves, so they didn't say anything. Thus, no one objected to Yun Chujio squeezing to the front row. Elder Zhuge arrived at the front row. He was busy chatting with the sect master and the peak masters, so he forgot about the little tail behind him. A certain Jio stood at the side of the second row with a peace of mind. She was prepared to leave after that shit distinguished guest entered the sect. Hei Shinjio pricked up her ears to listen to the conversation of Elder Zhuge and the others. She was confused. What 9-storied pavilion, what pavilion master, what supreme chaos. Some of the female disciples behind her were also so excited that they could not extricate themselves. All they said was that they were going to meet the pavilion master. They were simply too lucky. Some even said that the pavilion master would not be here to select a concubine. Blah blah blah. Hei Shinjio curled her lips. She spoke as if the pavilion master was so amazing. There was no man in the world who could compare to her gigolo. What bullshit pavilion master was not even worthy of carrying shoes for her gigolo? Just as Hei Shinjio was complaining, a carriage flew over from the sky in the distance. Hei Shinjio clicked her tongue in wonder. The horses pulling the carriage all had huge wings on their backs. Moreover, their entire bodies were pure white without a single strand of mixed fur. They looked quite impressive. This fellow thought bitterly in his heart. Fuck, I still have the bird team. Thinking of this fellow rubbed his nose guiltily. Oh no, he had forgotten about Big Harry and the rest. Forget it, he'll find a place for them to nest when I have the chance. However, he did not know if Big Hair and the others were so hungry that they had not fed them for half a month. The fellow hurriedly took some demon beast carcasses from the great void mystic realm and threw them into the spirit beast bag. He comforted them a few more words before looking at the carriage that was slowly descending. There was a flying spiritual device at the back of the carriage. Many guards and maids came down from it. One of the maids walked to the front of the carriage and lifted the curtain with her hand. Hei Shinjio was stretching her neck to look at the people inside when she heard the people of Chaotian sect say in unison, "Greetings, Tower Master Luochen." Hei Shinjio was frightened by the loud greeting. However, this guy was afraid that something bad would happen to him, so he quickly lowered his head and bowed as well. No need for formalities. A faint voice said. The Jima sect master of Chaotian sect said politely, "It's a great honor to have the pavilion master here. Please come in, pavilion master." "Sorry to disturb you," Tower Master Luochen said indifferently. Hei Shinjio felt that the voice of the pavilion master sounded familiar. She raised her head and opened her mouth in surprise. A man stood in front of the carriage. His long hair was loosely tied together with a white headband. His beauty was shocking, and his deep and melancholic eyes made people want to immerse themselves in it. Chapter 35-32 Was he Lan Luochen? Hei Shinjio was extremely shocked. Wasn't this peerless handsome man who was hated by the heavens and hated by the people the Big Brother Mermaid? No, that wasn't right. The Big Brother Mermaid's eyes were dark blue, but this person's eyes were black. She recalled that everyone was talking about Tower Master Luochen. Could it be that he was Lan Luochen? Although Hei Shinjio was very shocked, she quickly retracted her gaze and lowered her head. If it was Brother Mermaid, she would rush forward without hesitation, but if it was Lan Luochen. Although Hei Shinjio did not know if Brother Mermaid told her to be careful of Lan Luochen feelings for her had not been dispelled. She did not want to have too much to do with him. Lan Luochen was different from Shui Wuji. Even before Shui Wuji gave up, Yun Chujio did not have any burden when she faced Shui Wuji because she felt that Shui Wuji was just curious about her. Moreover, there were many reasons to compete with Di Baiming. However, when facing Lan Luochen, she felt that if he harbored feelings for her, she would feel bad. So, she might as well make a prompt decision and not get involved anymore. Therefore, when she was in the Tianyuan continent, she basically cut off all contact with Lan Luochen. However, how did he appear in the northern continent of the Towering Sky continent? And what did he become, Tower Master Luochen? Just as Hei Shinjio was in shock, she realized that the surroundings were silent and countless gazes were directed at her, some of which were hostile. Hei Shinjio raised her head in confusion and saw that Tower Master Luochen had already stood in front of her. Hei Shinjio comforted herself. Fortunately, she had already taken the transfiguration pill, and perhaps the person in front of her was not Lan Luochen. So there was nothing to worry about. As a result, the guy's expression was very calm. Thinking of the conversation between the female disciples, he showed a hint of shyness and bowed. "Greetings, Tower Master Luochen." Tower Master Luochen didn't speak for a long time, and complicated emotions flashed in his deep eyes. When Hei Shinjio was about to lose her patience and raise her head, he said indifferently, "I'm sorry, Tower Master Luochen." "No need." Sect Master Jima, I'm going to stay in Chaotian sect for a few days. Let her accompany me to introduce the situation of Chaotian sect. Sect Master Jima was dumbfounded and at a loss. Since when did Chaotian sect have such a weak disciple? Even a handyman's spiritual power was much higher than hers, okay? Moreover, at such an important occasion, everyone was wearing the costumes of the sect. Only this little girl was dressed differently from the others. Was it intentional? Was it to attract the attention of Tower Master Luochen? It wasn't just the sect master of the Jima sect who thought so. The others also thought so. This little bitch was really scheming. If they had known earlier, they would have worn other clothes as well. However, this little bitch's looks could be considered average. Why would Tower Master Luochen take a fancy to her? Yun Chujio felt as if there were 10,000 divine beasts roaring in her heart. Just as she was about to explain that she wasn't a member of the Chaotian sect, she heard the sect master of the Jima sect say, "All right, then let this disciple serve by your side for the next few days." Elder Zhuge came back to his senses and wanted to explain, but he swallowed his words after thinking for a while. Then he shot a threatening glance at Hei Shinjio. Yun Chujio saw the threatening look in Elder Zhuge's eyes and she was furious. However, the situation was better than the others. If she went against him with her small body, she would be tortured. Chapter 35-33. If time can be reversed after being warned by Elder Zhuge with his eyes, Hei Shinjio had no choice but to pretend to be hit by a golden pie, but her heart was filled with misery. Tower Master Luochen said lightly, and then followed the Jima sect master into Chaotian sect. The maid who had helped Tower Master Luochen open the curtain of the carriage glanced at Yun Chujio indifferently, and the rest of the maids also glanced at Yun Chujio a few times before following her. Hei Shinjio saw the disdain in the eyes of the maids and cursed in her heart. Damn it, do you think this job of serving people is a good thing? If I wasn't threatened, I wouldn't do it even if you gave me money. Elder Zhuge didn't follow the Jima sect master into the mountain gate. Instead, he said to Hei Shinjio, "Follow me?" Hei Shinjio knew what Elder Zhuge wanted to say even if she had to use her toes. However, she had no choice but to follow Elder Zhuge. This fellow's heart was filled with regret. If she could turn back time, she would have jumped into the sea. If she could turn back time, she would have found all sorts of reasons not to welcome Tower Master Luochen. If she could turn back time, she would have stood at the back and not moved forward. Elder Zhuge did not bring Hei Shinjio to the Spirit Beast Garden because he was afraid that Tower Master Luochen would look for her in a while. He only found a relatively remote place and opened the isolation array. Then he said in a cold voice, "Lin Chuchu, right? Since you accidentally entered our Chaotian sect and were chosen by Tower Master Luochen, then you should dutifully accompany Tower Master Luochen to visit the Chaotian sect these few days. You must know that you are extremely lucky to be chosen by Tower Master Luochen. Don't be stingy with your blessings. Also, if anything happens to you, since your life was given by our Chaotian sect, we can take it back at any time. Do you understand?" Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. Was she trying to repay a debt of gratitude? Moreover, what kind of debt was that? If she had crawled out of the turtle shell at that time, she might have already been killed and robbed of her treasure. Although this fellow thought so in his heart, he said obediently on the surface, "Chuchu understands. Chuchu will do her best to serve Tower Master Luochen." As he said this, a hint of shyness appeared on his face. Seeing this, Elder Zhuge immediately felt much more at ease with her. It was also true that all the girls wanted to be chosen by Tower Master Luochen. This Lin Chuchu would definitely not be foolish enough to give up this good opportunity. Elder Zhuge thought for a moment and said, "It would be best if Tower Master Luochen took you in. Even if Tower Master Luochen doesn't take you in, as long as you serve Tower Master Luochen well, I can promise you that after Tower Master Luochen leaves, you can enter Chaotian sect and become an outer disciple." Really? Then I'm really grateful to you. I want to become a disciple of Chaotian sect even in my dreams. I will definitely do my best to serve Tower Master Luochen well. Hei Shinjio said in surprise, but her mouth twitched in her heart. "Pui? I don't care about your Chaotian pepper." Elder Zhuge nodded in satisfaction, but when he remembered that Hei Shinjio knew nothing about Chaotian sect, he couldn't help but feel worried. Just as he was worried, his identity jade plate trembled. It turned out that the Jima sect master was urging him to bring Hei Shinjio over quickly. Elder Zhuge had no choice but to tell the Jima sect master the whole story with a sad face. The Jima sect leader's tone was obviously a little confused. Bring it here firsts. Chapter 35-33. Naming the sect and killing people. Hei Shinjio followed Elder Zhuge to the place where the guests were gathered. As she walked, she looked around secretly. As she looked around, she cursed in her heart that although Chaotian sect didn't have a good name, it was quite imposing. As soon as Hei Shinjio entered the meeting hall, many gazes fell on her. Most of the gazes were inquisitive. After all, the people sitting in the meeting hall were all heads of Chaotian sect, and there were no envious or jealous female disciples. Hei Shinjio swept her gaze across the room. The main seat was suspended in the air. Tower Master Luochen sat on the upper right, and the Jima sect master sat on the upper left. This was understandable. Although Tower Master Luochen had a high status, he was a guest after all, so it was not appropriate for him to occupy the main seat. Therefore, the Jima sect master used such a flexible seating arrangement. It had to be said that this Jima sect master was quite tactful. The Jima sect master coughed lightly. Tower Master, this Lin Chuchu is a disciple of the Spirit Beast Garden. She has just entered the sect not long ago, and she doesn't know much about the sect's affairs. How about I arrange another guide for you? Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. It wasn't that she had just entered the sect not long ago, but she had just arrived today. Tower Master Luchen's gaze fell on Hei Shinjio, and he said indifferently, Lin Chuchu? It's the same name as an old friend of mine. Hei Xinjia's heart thumped. This was bad. This fake name of Lin Chuchu had been used in the Netherworld continent, so Lan Luochen naturally knew it. However, this also meant that this person was really Lan Luochen. Although he did not know how Lan Luochen recognized her, since he had already said this sentence, there was a high chance that he had really recognized her. Hei Shinjio was now in a dilemma. She had to reveal her identity, but she did not want to have too much to do with Lan Luochen. But if she continued to hide it, since he had already recognized her, why was she still pretending? This fellow was so regretful that his intestines turned green. She should have made up a different name at that time. Why did she have to say something about Lin Chuchu? Naming a person with a useless name could kill people. At this moment, Tower Master Luochen said indifferently, however, it's impossible for her to come to the towering sky continent. It's probably just a coincidence. Hearing his words, Hei Shinjio was slightly relieved. Did he not recognize her? It better be, or she really doesn't know what to do. The Jima sect leader saw that Master Luochen did not answer his previous words. She said dryly, that's a coincidence, but she just entered the sect and is not familiar with the affairs of the sect. Pavilion Master, do you need me to arrange another disciple to be your guide? Need not, it is her. Tower Master Luchen's facial expression is light. The tone is to allow no argument however. The Jima sect master naturally didn't dare to get into trouble, so he could only force a smile and agree. He thought to himself that he still didn't know the background of this little girl, and the most important thing was that she knew nothing about Chaotian sect. He had to think of a way to make her stay and give her a good beating. Therefore, after exchanging some pleasantries, the Jima sect master asked someone to accompany Tower Master Luochen to the guest house to rest. He found a catalyst to make Hei Shinjio stay, and said that he would accompany Tower Master Luochen to tour Chaotian sect the next day. The Jima sect master sat on the main seat and looked at Yun Chujio with a cold and solemn expression. He also released the pressure on his body. His idea was very simple. He wanted to intimidate Hei Shinjio and show her his might first. Unfortunately, Hei Shinjio didn't fall for his trick at all. The pressure was nothing to her. Moreover, this guy knew that she was still useful now. Chaotian sect wouldn't do anything to her. Chapter 35-35 The user you called was already dead. The Jima sect master thought that the little girl would be intimidated by his pressure and tremble, but who would have thought that the little girl would be fine? He could only cough dryly. Elder Zhuge has already told me what happened. Normally, trespassing into our Chaotian sect is a big crime, but seeing that you don't have any malicious intent, I won't pursue the matter with you. However, Tower Master Luochen has a high status. You can't make a single mistake. Otherwise, not only will our Chaotian sect punish you, but the 9 pavilions will also not let you off lightly. Do you understand? Yun Chujio nodded and said obediently, Don't worry, Lord Sect Leader. I will do my best to serve Tower Master Luochen. The Jima sect leader glanced at Hei Shinjio and saw that she was obedient. His tone also softened. Little girl, our Chaotian sect is a famous sect. If it weren't for Tower Master Luchen's noble status, we wouldn't have made things so difficult for you. Don't worry, after Tower Master Luochen leaves, I will make the decision to let you enter the Chaotian sect as an outer disciple. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart, shameless. A famous sect. It was like being a whore and still putting up a memorial tablet. There is one more important thing. You know nothing about the Chaotian sect, so I will ask Elder Zhuge to find someone to teach you about the relevant situation of the Chaotian sect, so that you won't anger Tower Master Luochen, the Jima sect master added. Yun Chujio naturally wouldn't refuse. Besides, knowing oneself and one's enemy would win every battle. Knowing more about the situation would help her find an opportunity to escape in the future, so she obediently agreed. However, when Hei Shinjio saw that Elder Zhuge had found more than a dozen disciples to introduce the situation to her, she was dumbfounded. Elder Zhuge said from the side, Chaotian sect is divided into 2 peaks, the north and the south. Each peak has its own hall and 8 gardens. Since you want to accompany Tower Master Luochen for a tour, you should know more about them. Let's start now. And so, those people began to introduce the relevant situation as if they were stuffing ducks. Hei Shinjio thought that with her photographic memory, if it were anyone else, they would have a mental breakdown. However, even though Hei Shinjio had memorized everything, she still pretended to know a little so as not to attract any trouble. Unexpectedly, Elder Zhuge was very satisfied. After all, for a young girl who had just arrived, it was already pretty good for her to be able to remember almost everything. Elder Zhuge brought her around Chaotian sect and finally passed the test. After all this, the sky had already turned dark. Elder Zhuge found a courtyard for an inner sect disciple to live in and let Yun Chujio live there. Hei Shinjio washed up briefly and let out a long breath as she lay on the bed. The bad day was finally going to end. At this moment, the voice transmission talisman started to vibrate. Hei Shinjio took it out and saw that it was sent by D. Biming. She could not help but twitch her lips. Didn't he tell her to think of a way to survive first? Did he have a conscience? Hei Shinjio sent her spiritual sense in. When she heard D. Biming's words, she was so angry that she almost threw the voice transmission talisman out. That was because D. Biming only said 2 words, "Are you still alive?" Hei Shinjio gritted her teeth in anger. Damn it. This damn gigolo sent the voice transmission talisman just to make sure that she was still breathing? Hei Shinjio replied unhappily, "The user you are calling is dead." The guy thought that a certain someone would not reply to her, but the voice transmission talisman started to vibrate very quickly. A certain someone's cold voice came from inside, "It's good that you are not dead. Just wait." Chapter 35-36 was about to go to heaven. Hei Shinjio became even angrier after hearing that. What did he mean by not dying? Could he speak human language? This fellow thought of Lan Luochen and immediately rolled his eyes, saying, "Oh right, I forgot to tell you something. A big figure came to Chaotian sect today. It's Tower Master Luochen from the 9 pavilions. He looks very powerful. I think he is Lan Luochen and he asked me to accompany him on the tour. We are old acquaintances so you don't need to rush here. I should be safe for the time being." After sending the voice transmission talisman, Hei Shinjio curled her lips. The gigolo was a jealous man. Hearing her words he would be furious. After a while the voice transmission talisman did not respond. Hei Shinjio curled her lips and thought to herself, "See, even if the 7 emotions and 6 desires are sealed, the jealous man is still a jealous man." Just as he was thinking, the voice transmission talisman started to vibrate. D. Biming's cold voice came from it, "In that case, I have other things to do. I will pick you up in a few days." Hei Shinjio, damn it. This gigolo was going to fly into the sky. This guy took out the voice transmission talisman and roared, "Get your ass over here right now. Otherwise, I won't forgive you." Then, there was no then. D. Biming didn't reply to her at all. This guy cursed the gigolo hundreds of times before falling asleep in a daze. In a valley tens of thousands of miles away, a certain god flattened several mountain peaks one after another. Then he whispered with a cold gaze, 9-storied pavilion? Tower Master Luochen? Although he didn't know what emotions were surging in his heart, if he didn't vent them out he would explode. However, soon, a certain Geo regained his calm expression. He summoned his flying spiritual device and continued flying toward the sky sect. The next day Hei Shinjio was still sleeping when she heard someone knocking on the door. "Why are you knocking so early in the morning? I haven't woken up yet. Get lost." A certain Geo who had woken up in a bad mood shouted angrily. Elder Zhuge who was at the door. He was stunned for a moment. Just as he was about to lose his temper, he heard an obedient voice coming from the courtyard. "Elder Zhuge, I'm going out now. Please wait for me for a moment." Elder Zhuge. Was he hallucinating just now? Or was this little girl not in good spirits? Was she imagining herself to be a female emperor early in the morning? Hei Shinjio quickly walked out of the courtyard and said with a smile, "Elder Zhuge, good morning. I had a dream last night of being a female emperor. Don't you think it's very interesting?" Ah. Elder Zhuge glanced at the smiling Hei Shinjio and thought, could it be that she was talking in her sleep just now? That's right. Otherwise, how could she dare to ask him to get lost? Elder Zhuge shook his head secretly and put aside what had happened just now. He instructed, "Lin Chuchu, I will send you to the guest house in a while. You must be careful. You must not seek meritorious deeds but not make mistakes. You must not offend Tower Master Luochen, do you hear me?" Hei Shinjio obediently agreed and followed Elder Zhuge in the direction of the guest house. Along the way, Hei Shinjio saw many female disciples who had dressed up meticulously. All of them looked at her with envy and jealousy, wishing that they could replace her. Hei Shinjio curled her lips. These female disciples were standing by the roadside. Were they planning to have a perfect encounter? Chapter 35-37 Finally saw her again. Finally, they arrived at the guest house after many twists and turns. The guards of the 9 pavilions stood outside the courtyard. They were probably worried about the people of Chaotian sect on one hand, and trying to show off on the other. Of course, Hei Shinjio added the last one herself. Seeing Elder Zhuge bringing Hei Shinjio here, the guards immediately went in to report and let the two in. Tower Master Luochen was sitting on a chair and drinking tea. When he saw the two of them, he said indifferently, "Thank you for your trouble, Elder Zhuge." Elder Zhuge understood the meaning of the song and immediately understood that this was to send off the guests. He tactfully took his leave. However, he was also very puzzled. Why did Tower Master Luochen take a fancy to that Lin Chuchu? In the beginning he did not know that the little girl and his old friend had the same name. It was really strange. After Elder Zhuge left, Lan Luochen only slowly sipped his tea and did not speak to Hei Shinjio. He left her on the spot like a dried salted fish. The handmaidens of the 9 pavilions were originally a little jealous of her. Now that they saw that the Tower Master had left Hei Shinjio on the spot, they immediately gloated over her misfortune. The handmaidens who lifted the curtain of the carriage for Tower Master Luochen looked at Hei Shinjio contemptuously. They thought that the pavilion master looked at this stinky girl in a different way, but it turned out that it wasn't the case at all. It was probably because she was dressed differently from the others that the pavilion master let her be the guide. They didn't expect that this stinky girl was so unlucky to have the same name as the pavilion master's old friend. Moreover, it seemed that the old friend might be someone that the pavilion master disliked. Otherwise, the pavilion master wouldn't have left her on the spot like this. Hei Shinjio naturally noticed the gloating gazes of these maids and cursed in her heart. This Lan Luochen might have been a little unhappy in the past, but at least he was still normal. Why was he acting like a lunatic now? Could it be that they had mobilized a large number of people to call her here just to leave her hanging? This fellow's heart stirred. Or could it be that he was taking revenge on her? Taking revenge on her for not responding to his feelings back then? Just as Hei Xinjia's thoughts were running wild, she heard Tower Master Luochen coldly say, "Let's go." Hei Shinjio subconsciously thought that Tower Master Luochen was chasing her away. This fellow immediately said eagerly, "Since Tower Master doesn't need me, then he'll take my leave." Tower Master Luochen frowned. "I'm asking you to lead the way and go somewhere else." "What? Are you very unwilling to be my guide?" Hei Shinjio realized that she had misunderstood. She laughed dryly and said, "No, I was just a little nervous and misunderstood Tower Master's intention." Tower Master Luchen's eyes darkened. He didn't say anything and stood up from his seat. Hei Shinjio had no choice but to learn from the experience and introduce him as she walked. Fortunately, this guy was good at lying. Even if he didn't know some parts, he still managed to deceive her. Tower Master Luochen looked at Hei Xinjia's smiling face and his eyes deepened. After waiting for so long and setting up so many chess pieces, he finally saw her again. Although her appearance had changed, he would never forget her pair of crafty and intelligent eyes. Initially he was still uncertain, but after seeing her clearly unwilling but pretending to be a lackey in Lin Chuch's fake name, he was even more certain that this was the person he had been longing for. Although his plan was a little off, he didn't expect her to arrive in the northern continent ahead of schedule, but at least he would be able to get along with her for a few days. Chapter 35-38 Wasn't the sun thinking of something? Tower Master Luchen's eyes turned sinister. If it wasn't for the fact that the time wasn't ripe, he really wanted to bring the person in front of him back to the 9 pavilions. This way he could see this smiling nightmare every day. He was still somewhat alive. Just as He Xingjiu was mumbling, she seemed to have sensed something. When she raised her head, she happened to see Tower Master Luchen's deep and sinister eyes. She couldn't help but be startled. When she looked again, those eyes had already returned to their gloomy and deep appearance. This fellow was puzzled. Could it be that he had seen wrongly just now? How dare you? Our Tower Master's identity is honorable. Is it something you can covet directly? The maid who lifted the curtain of the carriage reprimanded unhappily. He Xingjia's heart was like 10,000 divine beasts whizzing past. Damn it, this Lan Luochen wasn't the son. Why couldn't she look directly at him? Covet? Pui. She was not stupid. Why would she covet him for no reason? He Xingjiu curled her lips. Sister, how did you know that I was looking straight at the pavilion master? Could it be that you were also looking straight at the pavilion master at the same time? The maid was stunned at first and then hurriedly said, You're talking nonsense. I am not. Yun Chuzhou could not be bothered with such an idiot. With such an IQ, even if her spiritual power was 100 levels higher than hers, she would still be abused. Originally, Yun Chuzhia's questions were full of loopholes. This maid only needed to answer that she had been watching Yun Chuzhia's actions, so she could have realized that Yun Chuzhou was looking directly at the Tower Master. However, Yun Chuzhou just had to admit that she denied it. There was simply no silver in this place. Tower Master Luochen said coldly, Xingyu, that's enough. Xingyu, who was also the maid, heard the impatience in Tower Master Luchen's tone. Her face immediately turned red and she bit her lips tightly, finally hating He Xingjiu. He Xingjiu naturally knew that she was being targeted. She became more vigilant and continued to be a competent guide with a smile. Tower Master Luochen listened with a cold expression, but his eyes were less gloomy. However, when he saw Xingyu, a sense of disgust flashed through his heart. However, when he thought of some things, he forcefully suppressed this disgust in his heart. When she passed by the North Peak cafeteria, He Xingjiu smelled the aroma of the food and immediately felt that she could eat a cow. She was woken up by Elder Zhuge in the morning and didn't have time to eat breakfast. It was already noon, so how could she not be hungry? Especially today. Perhaps it was because she had walked a lot, so she felt even more hungry. This fellow blinked his eyes and said to Tower Master Luochen, Tower Master, this is the North Peak cafeteria. There are a few special dishes that are very delicious. Why don't you go in and try them? Before Tower Master Luochen could say anything, Xingyu said with disdain, Our Tower Master usually eats delicacies. Why would he go to such a lousy place to eat? Xingyu's words stopped abruptly because Tower Master Luochen had already walked into the canteen. Xingyu stomped her feet angrily. Although Tower Master Luochen had always been cold and indifferent to her, at least her position was unique among these maids. But today she was ignored one after another. All of this was because of that damn Lin Chuchu. When Xingyu entered the canteen, Tower Master Luochen was already sitting at a single table. The disciples who were originally eating in the canteen were suddenly overwhelmed by the favor and stood up. Especially some female disciples. They wanted to go up and get the attention of Tower Master Luochen, but they were also a little timid and shy, whispering to each other to encourage each other. As for that damn Lin Chuchu, he picked up a piece of meat with chopsticks and put it into his mouth. While eating, he said shamelessly, Tower Master Luochen, let me help you taste the dishes in case there are any bad things. Chapter 35-39. He Xingjiu, whose appetite had greatly increased. Xingyu saw the scene in front of her and immediately gloated. Although their pavilion master had a cold personality, he was most afraid of others touching his tea set and dishes. This Lin Chuchu actually thought so highly of herself and helped their pavilion master taste the dishes? She was really stupid. Their pavilion master would definitely get angry. She might even ask Chao Tiansek to punish this Lin Chuchu so that she could vent her anger. The other handmaidens of the 9 pavilions had the same thought. They gloated at He Xingjiu, who was enjoying her meal. He Xingjiu felt that she was so hungry that she didn't have time to look at them. No matter what, she had to fill her stomach first. After tasting all the dishes on the table, although she was still hungry, she knew that it was enough. Thus he said with a smile, Tower Master, these dishes are all fine. You can eat without worry. Xingyu almost laughed out of schadenfreude. This Lin Chuchu really didn't know whether he was dead or alive. She used chopsticks to pull the dishes and still wanted to let Tower Master eat them? Tower Master was definitely going to be furious this time. This Lin Chuchu really did a good job. Who would have thought that Tower Master Luochen would pick up his chopsticks and actually eat slowly? He even said to them, You guys eat too. Not only Xingyu, But all the maids of the 9 pavilions were dumbfounded. Was the pavilion master possessed by a ghost? Not only did he not punish that Lin Chuchu, he actually let them eat too? One had to know that the pavilion master was usually busy, so how could he care about the servants eating and not eating? Could it be because of that Lin Chuchu? Perhaps they had all guessed wrong. That old friend called Lin Chuchu was not someone the pavilion master hated, but could it be someone the pavilion master liked? Hei Xingjiu did not have the time to think about things. She only felt that she was going to starve to death, so she called the servants in the canteen to serve a table full of food, and then began to eat like a whirlwind. Everyone was stunned to see Hei Xingjiu eating and drinking there. How could this little girl eat so much? Her appetite was almost the same as the 3 men's. Tower Master Luochen also looked at Hei Xingjiu thoughtfully. He frowned slightly, and his gaze could not help but fall on Hei Xingjiu's lower abdomen. Could it be that she? Tower Master Luochen thought of a possibility, and his expression immediately became extremely gloomy. He suddenly stood up, walked to Yun Chujia's side and grabbed her arm. All of this happened too suddenly. Hei Xingjiu was not prepared at all. She only looked at Tower Master Luochen in confusion when her wrist was grabbed. Tower Master Luochen's hand was pressing on Hei Xingjia's pulse. A sense of relief flashed in his eyes, and then he let go of Yun Chujia's hand. Tower Master Luochen's hand still had a trace of softness. He clenched his hand under his sleeve and said coldly, "Let's go. Let's go somewhere else." Hei Xingjiu was dumbfounded. Was this Lan Luochen crazy? Why did he come to grab her wrist for no reason? Could it be that he wanted to take advantage of her? She didn't believe it when she thought of this. Although this Lan Luochen seemed to be in a bad mood, he didn't look like a lecher no matter how she looked at him. He must have forgotten his current identity in a moment of impatience. However, speaking of which, how did this Lan Luochen suddenly become the Tower Master of 9 pavilions? Although Hei Xingjiu was full of doubts, she still followed Tower Master Luochen out of the canteen. Chapter 3540 was really not a joyous pulse. Xingyu glared at Yun Chujia's back fiercely, wishing that she could go up and kill her right now. Everyone in the 9 pavilions knew that the pavilion master's personality was cold and distant towards everyone, not to mention any physical contact. He had actually grabbed Lin Chuchu's wrist just now. This Lin Chuchu must not be spared. Seeing the viciousness on Xingye's face, the other serving girls were afraid of being blamed, so they all carefully left the canteen. Xingyu gritted her teeth and also raised her leg to chase after him. The afternoon went smoothly. Hei Xingjia's mouth was dry from talking, but not long after, her stomach was hungry again. No matter how slow this fellow was, he still felt that something was wrong. Why did his appetite suddenly become bigger? If it wasn't for the fact that she and the gigolo hadn't had sex yet, he might have thought that she was pregnant. Thinking of this, he recalled the time when Lan Luochen grabbed his wrist. His heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Lan Luochen was checking her pulse? Did he think that she was pregnant? Thinking of this, Hei Xingjia's thick skin couldn't help but turn red. She felt that she was thinking too much. Whether she was pregnant or not, it had nothing to do with Lan Luochen. Xingyu, who was at the side, saw Yun Chujia's face suddenly turn red. She felt even more resentful. This bitch must be coveting the Tower Master in her heart. She really deserved to die. Tower Master Luochen saw the redness on Yun Chujia's face, and his eyes flashed with passion. He couldn't wait to bring her back to the 9-storied pavilion immediately. However, when he thought of something, his eyes turned malicious. He said coldly to Yun Chujiu, "Let's call it a day. You can go back. You can go to the guest house tomorrow morning." Hei Xingjiu couldn't wait to leave and have a big meal. She nodded immediately, bowed to him perfunctorily, and then ran towards the canteen. Xingyu was stunned. She thought that Lin Chuchu would cling on to the Tower Master, but she didn't expect her to leave so easily? Humph, maybe she was playing hard to get this bitch. Tower Master Luochen saw Xingye's fierce expression and said lightly, "We are here for an important matter. If anyone tries to cause trouble, don't blame me for being impolite." Xingyu and the other handmaidens were shocked and quickly said, "Yes." Xingyu was delighted. Yes, they came here to do something. Could it be that the Tower Master deliberately treated Lin Chuchu differently in order to attract others' attention? It must be so. Could it be that the pavilion master had explained his words to her? Was he afraid that she would misunderstand? When Xingyu thought of this, the resentment in her heart disappeared, and there was even a hint of sweetness. When Tower Master Luochen saw her expression, a hint of disgust and impatience flashed in his eyes. However, in order to prevent her from finding trouble with Yun Chujiu, he could only do this. On the other side, Hei Shinjio ate her fill in the canteen and then left the canteen under everyone's astonished gazes. After this fellow returned to his temporary courtyard, he rubbed his stomach and pondered. Why did his appetite suddenly increase? Could it be that it was Guai Chao's doing? Guai Chao was aggrieved and hurriedly shook its leaves. What it ate were all spiritual medicines or poisons. It wasn't a good-for-nothing, so how could it eat so many useless things? Yun Chujio saw the Guai Chao denying it and thought to herself, when did I sleep with the gigolo? Or was it because the gigolo took advantage of me while I was asleep? This guy quickly checked his pulse several times and finally came to a conclusion that it was really not a happy pulse. Chapter 3541 Wouldn't eat it too, right? Hei Shinjio was dumbfounded. If it wasn't because of Shimai or Go Weiba, then how did she become a good-for-nothing all of a sudden? Just as this fellow was puzzled, the little black bird inside the spirit beast pouch said, Master, Curly Hair said that he knows the reason. He said that the reason why you are like this is because of Dehua. Because the nightmare beast did not sign a contract with Hei Shinjio, Xiao Hanyo could only send a message to Meng Yanshou. Yun Chujio was dumbfounded. It was true that Dehua was a Tao Tai, but what did it have to do with her? Curly Hair said that Dehua is your spiritual beast, so you will be affected by it to a certain extent. And as Dehua's strength increases, the influence will become more and more intense. Cough cough, it also said that in the future not only will you eat food, but you may also eat a lot of things into your stomach such as trees, grass, demonic beasts and even eat people. Xiao Hanyo's tone was a little shaky. Emma, in the future would Master Hei Xian eat it too? Hei Xinjia's mind was blank and then she had the urge to roar. What the hell, what was going on? There was a strange grass growing in her dantian, so she had to eat some poison whenever she was free. Most importantly, it was because of this damn dogtail that she couldn't have sex with Go Weiba. Now even a good spiritual beast could affect her. So her gluttony wasn't because of the little beggar's experience in her previous life, but because of that damn Dehua? According to Curly Hair, wouldn't she become a human-shaped Tao Tai in the future? The more he thought about it, the more miserable he became. He said angrily, damn it, is there anything more miserable than me in this world? How can I get these two damn things out? Xiao Hanyo said weakly, Master, Curly Hair said that Guai Chao and Dehua are based on your dantian. Unless you destroy your dantian, you won't be able to get rid of them. Hearing this, Yun Chujio was even more furious. Destroy her dantian? In this place where the strong were respected, if she lost her dantian, what was the difference between her and death? Just as Hei Shinjio was feeling depressed, Xiao Hanyo said, Master, Curly Hair said that there is actually a flexible way. Guai Chao can be appeased with pills, and Dehua can be appeased with spiritual stones and the power of lightning. Dehua probably hasn't eaten for a long time, so he reminded you. Yun Chujio, why did she feel like she was being teased by Meng Yanshou? This guy didn't care if he was discovered. He released Meng Yanshou from the spiritual beast bag and gave him a good beating. You Curly Hair. Speak, are you trying to scare me? If you don't tell me the truth, I'll change your shell into a toad and a female. Meng Yanshou said pitifully, Little fairy, although I made it sound serious, I didn't scare you. If you don't feed the Dehua spirit stones or the lightning power to it, it can only let you eat it to gain some spiritual energy. Hei Shinjio beat Meng Yanshou again and Meng Yanshou finally broke down. It wailed, Little fairy, you're not supposed to be like this. I was kind enough to answer your questions but you beat me up. I don't love you anymore. Hei Shinjio touched her nose guiltily. Alright, she was venting her anger just now. Moreover, Meng Yanshou was not afraid of being beaten up. At worst, she could give it a new body, so she let it go. In the end, Hei Shinjio comforted Meng Yanshou for a while and rewarded it with a few storybooks. Meng Yanshou finally stopped. Chapter 3542. Little Sister Jio is here. Hei Shinjio comforted Meng Yanshou and rubbed her hungry stomach. She had no choice but to let Dehua out. Then she took out some spirit stones and said fiercely, You foodie. Although Dehua did not turn black, she was not slow in eating spirit stones. The spirit stones that Hei Shinjio threw on the ground all went into Dehua's stomach in the blink of an eye. Hei Xinjia's heart ached. She had swindled and swindled these spiritual stones. Bah, she had worked hard to earn these spiritual stones. According to Dehua's method of eating, she would soon become a pauper. The fellow was in great pain as he took stock of his wealth. When his spiritual sense swept across the mountain of spiritual stones, his eyes immediately lit up. She had never had the chance to refine these spiritual stones into spiritual stones. She wondered if she could feed them to Dehua. Therefore the fellow took out a large piece of spiritual ore and threw it in front of Dehua. Dehua, come. Master will give you some raw and natural good stuff. Eat it. Dehua's small eyes narrowed. Then she turned her head and glanced at Yun Chujio with disdain, but she still began to eat. Seeing that Dehua could really eat those spiritual ores, Yun Chujio immediately felt relieved. At least she could hold on for a while more. Otherwise she could not afford to feed this glutton. Dehua kept eating until He Xingjiu was about to cry. Dehua was finally full. He looked at He Xingjiu arrogantly and then disappeared. He Xingjiu cursed for hundreds of times and felt a little better. At this time the sky was completely dark. He Xingjiu washed up briefly and then lay on the bed. In her daze, the sound transmission talisman started to vibrate. He Xingjiu took it out and saw that it was Di Biming's. She snorted coldly and sent her spiritual perception into it. A calm voice came from inside. I just want to confirm whether you are still alive. There's no need to reply. He Xingjiu, damn it, it was intolerable. This gigolo was simply a psychopath. If you don't want to reply, then don't reply. Why must I reply? Gigolo, my appetite suddenly increased today. What do you think is going on? After a while, there was no response from the voice transmission talisman. He Xingjiu thought that the gigolo must be confused. He must have been scared to death. Finally, the voice transmission talisman rang. He Xingjiu could not wait to send her spiritual perception in. A cold voice came from inside. You're either hungry or you're hungry. You should focus on your cultivation when you're eating. Otherwise it'll have to save you all the time. He Xingjiu, how could they still have a good chat? Damn it, the love boat between her and the gigolo had completely turned upside down. In a fit of anger, He Xingjiu did not reply to the certain being. She gnawed on a few spirit fruits angrily before falling asleep. On the other side, a certain deity on the flying spirit tool looked indifferent as if nothing had caught his attention. However, when he was cultivating, He Xingjiu's words kept echoing in his mind. For some reason, a certain deity felt somewhat irritated. He opened his eyes and was silent for a moment. He took out Shui Wuji's voice transmission talisman and asked, "What's going on with a woman's sudden increase in appetite?" Shui Wuji and Enfeng were left in the East Phoenix country's camp by Di Biming. Enfeng and Shui Wuji had just finished discussing the battle and were having dinner. When Shui Wuji heard Di Biming's words, he almost spat out a mouthful of rice. He said to Enfeng, who was dumbfounded, "Little madman, little sister Jiu is pregnant." Chapter 35-43, He's going to be a father? Enfeng looked at Shui Wuji with a dumbfounded expression. You're pregnant? What's pregnant? Is Miss Jiu in danger? What do you mean by in danger? Little sister Jiu is pregnant. He did not expect that guy with facial paralysis to be a hypocrite. He even said that he had sealed the 7 emotions and 6 desires. If he had sealed the 7 emotions and 6 desires, where would the child in little sister Jiu's stomach come from? Shui Wuji curled his lips and said. Although Shui Wuji knew that there was a Guai Chao in Yun Chujia's stomach, he was not too clear about the specifics. Therefore he did not know that Di Biming and He Xingjiu had yet to have sex. Moreover, a certain honored master would not foolishly spread such a private matter everywhere. Therefore, when Shui Wuji heard Di Biming's voice transmission talisman, his first reaction was that He Xingjiu had it. And Feng was completely dumbfounded. No wonder their venerable left in a hurry. So it was Miss Jiu who was pregnant? Shui Wuji was so excited that he hurriedly took out Di Biming's voice transmission talisman and said slyly, "Are you talking about little sister Jiu? She must be pregnant. Congratulations, congratulations. You're going to be a father." On the other end, a certain venerable who received Shui Wuji's voice transmission talisman was instantly frozen. Pregnant? How could she be pregnant? They had never done that kind of thing before. How could they be pregnant all of a sudden? That trash Shui Wuji must be spouting nonsense. A certain someone put away the voice transmission talisman and decided to ignore this matter and continue cultivating. However, the thoughts that popped up in his mind were that little Jiu was pregnant and he was going to be a father. He clenched his fists in frustration. Although he knew that it was impossible for He Xingjiu to be pregnant, he was still very frustrated. In the end, he took out He Xingjiu's voice transmission talisman and asked, "Why did your appetite suddenly increase?" In her sleep, He Xingjiu noticed that the voice transmission talisman was trembling. When she took it out and heard a certain lord's words, she curled her lips and said, "Guess." A certain honored guest knew that he wouldn't be able to get anything out of her. The cold air emanating from his body made the cabin feel as cold as winter, but he couldn't explain why he was so angry. It was as if he had seen a ghost. The next morning, while Hei Shinjio was still asleep, the sound of knocking on the door came from the door. Just as Hei Shinjio was about to explode, she suddenly remembered that she was in Chaotian's sect, so she suppressed her anger and asked, "Who is it?" "Lin Chuchu, it's getting late. You should get up to serve Tower Master Luochen." Elder Zuja's voice came from the door. Hei Shinjio cursed in her heart. Was this Elder Zhuge so bored that his balls hurt? A dignified elder actually came to wake her up so early in the morning. He was simply sick. Although she was ridiculing him, Hei Shinjio still said obediently, "So it's Elder Zhuge. Please wait for a moment." Elder Zhuge was actually feeling helpless in his heart. He didn't want to do such an undignified thing. But who asked him to bring Lin Chuchu outside the mountain gate? If she made a mistake, he wouldn't be able to get away with it, so he could only come over and urge her. Just as he was thinking, the gate of the courtyard opened, and Lin Chuchu walked out with a big meat bun in her mouth. Elder Zuja's eyes twitched and he asked, "Although everything went smoothly yesterday, we can't slack off today. We must serve the pavilion master wholeheartedly. Do you hear me?" Hei Shinjio finished the bun in her hand in 2 or 3 bites before she nodded and said, "Yes, I understand. I'll go over now." Chapter 3544 was also a good place to enjoy the scenery. Elder Zhuge wanted to give a few more instructions, but Hei Shinjio had already waved her claws and walked toward the guest house. Seeing this, Elder Zhuge had no choice but to swallow his words. He prayed to the gods and Buddhas in his heart that nothing should happen to him. Hei Shinjio gnawed on the meat buns as she walked. It was a quiet morning in Chaotian's sect, so it was a good place to enjoy the scenery. She made several turns and arrived at the entrance of the guest house. Just as she was about to enter, she was stopped by the guards. Hei Shinjio didn't panic. She simply explained her purpose for coming, and then a guard went in to report. After a while, the guard came out and said to Hei Shinjio, "Miss Xingyu said that you should wait here for now." Hei Shinjio couldn't wait to see Tower Master Luochen, so she nodded and went to the open space beside the guest house. She took out a recliner and basked in the sun leisurely. In the guest courtyard, Xingyu sent away the guard who came in to report and revealed a sneer. Although the Tower Master was most likely using Lin Chuchu as a cover, she just didn't like that Lin Chuchu. Although she couldn't deal with her openly, the Tower Master wouldn't say anything even if she used a little trick. Xingyu walked into the bedroom and Tower Master Luochen had already woken up. Although he didn't like to be too close to others, he still allowed maids to do things like helping to pass clothes and face scarves. These jobs that were closest to Tower Master Luochen were naturally Xingyu's privileges. The other maids didn't dare to compete with her. After Xingyu served Tower Master Luochen to clean his face, she began to ask the other maids to prepare breakfast. These meals were brought from the 9 pavilions, and they didn't even bother to eat Chaotian sect's food. Xingyu saw the breakfast and thought of yesterday's incident at noon. She couldn't help but hate Hei Shinjio more and more. If it wasn't for that slut, Tower Master wouldn't have condescended to eat those low-quality meals in the cafeteria. Tower Master Luochen ate his breakfast elegantly, but his eyes looked out of the door. His spiritual power was superb. Although he was in the bedroom, he still heard the conversation between Xingyu and the guard. Although he couldn't bear it, he didn't want to bring more trouble to Yun Chujio, so he could only pretend that he didn't know anything. He was absent-minded during the meal. Although he wanted to go out and see her right away, he deliberately delayed for a while and then asked coldly, "Why isn't Lin Chuchu here yet?" Xingyu, who was at the side, had a flash of calculation in her eyes. She said gently, "Maybe she hasn't woken up yet. I'll send someone to call her." However, this Lin Chuchu was really too much. Since she was arranged to be your guide, she should do her duty. It was really unappreciative of her to ask someone to invite her. Tower Master Luochen said calmly, "She's just a chess piece. Don't be so calculative. Send someone to call her here. She's going to visit Chaotian sect today." Xingyu was in a good mood when she heard Tower Master Luchen's words. She said with a smile, "Yes, Tower Master." Xingyu walked out of the courtyard with a smug look. She thought she would see Lin Chuchu walking around anxiously outside, but she didn't expect that little girl to sit on the recliner, munching on melon seeds and humming a tune. She felt very uncomfortable. Xingyu snorted coldly and walked to Hei Shinjio. She said fiercely, "Follow me in a while. You should think about what you should say or not. Otherwise you won't get a good result." Chapter 35-45. You pretend, I pretend. He Xingjiu glanced at Xingyu and said, "Yes, I know, Sister Xingyu." Seeing that He Xingjiu was sensible and afraid that Tower Master Luochen would be anxious, Xingyu snorted and said, "Go in later and tell him that you just arrived. Do you hear me?" He Xingjiu nodded and said, "Yes, I understand." Xingyu then brought He Xingjiu into the courtyard and said gently, "Tower Master, Lin Chuchu is here." Tower Master Luochen glanced at He Xingjiu and didn't ask anything. He only said indifferently, "Let's go. Lead the way." He Xingjiu nodded and the group left the guest house. After returning last night, He Xingjiu had figured out that Lan Luochen must have recognized her. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone to the canteen to check her pulse when he saw that she was hungry. However, since he didn't expose her, she was happy to continue acting. Why not pretend to be someone else? Along the way, He Xingjiu dutifully introduced them. Tower Master Luochen rarely spoke. He only listened to Yun Chuji's chattering, and there was a hint of affection in his eyes. The morning passed without a ripple. At noon, Tower Master Luochen said indifferently, "Yesterday's lunch was pretty good. Let's go to the canteen." Xingyu was stunned, but when she thought of what Tower Master Luochen had said yesterday, she could only swallow her words and looked at Hei Xingjiu with an unfriendly expression. Because she had already fed De Hua, Hei Xingjiu was not very hungry today, not to mention that this guy had eaten 4 big meat buns in the morning. However, it was good to go to the canteen to rest. She had been kissing for the whole morning and her mouth was dry. Therefore, this fellow brought Tower Master Luochen and the others to the canteen. This fellow thought that when the people in the canteen saw Tower Master Luochen coming again, they would be pleasantly surprised and enthusiastic. As expected, when the people in the canteen saw Tower Master Luochen coming again, they were all very excited, especially those female disciples. They wished they could jump into Tower Master Luchen's arms and beg for his favor. However, apart from these voices, He Xingjiu also saw many people pointing at her. Look. That foodie came again yesterday. It's true. She ate 5 men's meals last night. She can really eat. I bet she can eat 6 people's meals today. How can 6 people be enough? I bet 7. 8. 10. He Xingjiu, damn it, did these people treat her like a pig? Didn't she just eat a little too much yesterday afternoon and evening? Did these people have to look at her like that? Since it was like that, the food in the canteen was free and the taste was pretty good. She wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Therefore, when the Tower Master Luochen ordered them to eat, this guy ordered enough food for 10 people. Now, not only the servants in the canteen paid attention to her, but some disciples of Chao Tian sect also paid attention to Tower Master Luochen. He Xingjiu didn't take these gazes seriously at all. She picked up the food she liked and ate some. Then she packed up the rest of the food, including the plates and plates of the canteen. This fellow mocked himself. There was nothing he could do. She was poor now. She could save as much as she could. The handyman in the canteen was instantly dumbfounded. Although the disciples of the Chao Tian sect occasionally packed things up, this person had packed too much, right? And she even packed up their cutlery? Chapter 35-46. Attending the banquet, the servants in the canteen wanted to ask for cutlery, but they were afraid of Tower Master Luochen, so they could only watch He Xingjiu swagger out of the canteen. Tower Master Luochen naturally saw He Xingjiu's behavior, and a fleeting smile flashed across his eyes. It was great. As long as little Jiu was by his side, his heart would feel warm. Just as he left the cafeteria, he met Elder Zhuge. Tower Master, Sect Leader Jima has prepared a banquet. I hope you can attend it? Elder Zhuge said politely. Tower Master Luochen didn't refuse and nodded in agreement. The two of them exchanged some pleasantries before Elder Zhuge left. He Xingjiu didn't take it to heart. This banquet had nothing to do with her. After accompanying him for a while, she could return to the dormitory. Unexpectedly, when He Xingjiu was about to suggest leaving in the evening, Tower Master Luochen said, "You should also attend the banquet. I can ask you if there's anything I don't understand." He Xingjiu really wanted to yell at him. She had just arrived, alright? She did not know what he did not understand, alright? However, He Xingjiu knew that even if she refused, Elder Zhuge would still take her away even if he tied her up, so she could only nod and agree. Xing Ye's face darkened, but when she thought of Tower Master Luchen's arrangement, she could only suppress the jealousy in her heart and glared at Yun Chujiu fiercely. He Xingjiu was feeling aggrieved. When she saw Xingyu glaring at her, she immediately pretended to be puzzled and said, "Sister Xingyu, why are you glaring at me? Don't you want me to attend the dinner party?" Xingye's face stiffened and she said through gritted teeth, "You are mistaken. This is the order of the pavilion master. I have no objections. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. He Xingyu blinked her eyes and replied with an OH. Then she did not say anything. Xingyu felt that she could not vent her anger. She wished that she could kill He Xingyu to vent her anger. He Xingyu could not be bothered with her. She brought a group of people to the meeting hall. Although Chaotian sect had a special place for holding banquets, in order to make it more prestigious, the banquet was still held in the meeting hall. Just like the last time, the main seat was suspended in the air. Tower Master Luochen sat on the upper right, and the Jima sect master sat on the upper left, followed by the brains of Chaotian sect. However, unlike the first meeting, there were some young and beautiful female disciples in the meeting hall this time. All of them had obviously dressed up meticulously, and their gazes were vaguely directed at Tower Master Luochen. He Xingyu couldn't help but twitch her lips. Was this Jima sect master planning to change his job to matchmaker? The Jima sect master said a few polite words, and then gestured for someone to serve the dishes. On such an occasion, He Xingyu naturally didn't have the qualifications to sit. This fellow and Xingyu stood behind Tower Master Luochen, helping him pour wine or cloth dishes. Of course, Xingyu definitely wouldn't let He Xingyu do these things, so He Xingyu was just a decoration standing there to watch the show. This guy was very curious. Since the Jima sect leader had taken those beautiful female disciples, he naturally had a plan, but he didn't know how to pimp, or no matchmaker. After drinking a few rounds of wine, the Jima sect leader smiled and said, "Pavilion Master, as you can see, there are quite a few female disciples of our sect in the main hall today. These female disciples are not bad in terms of looks, aptitude and family background. They also admire Pavilion Master and want to offer some talents. Please appraise them, Pavilion Master." Chapter 3547 was just SOSO. He Xingyu couldn't help but give the Jima sect leader a thumbs up in her heart. This old man was really smooth when it came to handling matters. He was clearly a pimp, yet he said it was a performance. Tower Master Luochen nodded lightly, but he didn't object. Those female disciples were instantly overjoyed. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If they could be chosen by Tower Master Luochen, even if they couldn't marry him as his wife, even if they were concubines, it would still be good. Thus they all tried their best. Some were playing the zither, some were dancing the sword, and some were singing. It was simply a dazzling sight. Just as He Xingyu was enjoying it, the voice transmission talisman in her storage ring started to vibrate. He Xingyu took it out under her sleeve to take a look. It was from D. Biming. This guy curled his lips. Gigolo, he finally couldn't hold it in anymore, right? This guy thought that D. Biming was asking about the increase in her appetite yesterday. He didn't expect that D. Biming's cold voice could be heard after he sent his spiritual sense in. "It's good that you're alive. You don't have to go back." He Xingyu, this guy was immediately enraged. He blinked his eyes and said with a carefree smile, "Not only am I alive, but am also living quite comfortably. I have food and drink, and there are people dancing with swords and playing the zither. It's so wonderful." On the other side, a certain venerable could not help but frown when he heard He Xingyi's reply. There was food and drink? Playing the sword and zither? He immediately recalled the scene in his memory where the little rascal and Lan Luochen were chatting and laughing while drinking tea. Could it be that Lan Luochen was playing the sword and zither for the little rascal at this moment? After the certain venerable imagined the scene, he suddenly felt that he was in a bad mood. What no desires, no calm, no waves, everything was a ghost. It was as if there was a fire burning in his chest, followed by intense pain in his limbs and bones. He gritted his teeth and could only sit down cross-legged, once again sealing the 7 emotions and 6 desires that were almost unsealed. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. After a long time, a certain being opened his eyes, his gaze as cold as ice. However, when he thought of the scene that he imagined earlier, his face still darkened. Someone actually dared to covet my woman. He was really courting death. Yes, it was precisely because of this reason that he was angry. It was not because of jealousy or anything like that. Yes, that was it. He took out the voice transmission talisman, but he did not know what to say. In the end, he said coldly, "Stay away from him." At this time, the banquet was already nearing its end. He Xingyu was still enjoying it at the beginning. Ever since she received D. Biming's voice transmission talisman, her interest had waned. Feeling the vibration of the voice transmission talisman, she sent her spiritual sense in and heard Di Biming's voice. She pouted. She wanted to stay away from Lan Luochen, but she couldn't help it now. So, this guy replied in a bad mood, "If you don't come to save me, how can I stay away from him?" "Wait. The flowers that I've been waiting for are all gone. When will you arrive?" "Tomorrow?" He Xingjia's lips curled up when she heard that Di Biming would arrive tomorrow. She really didn't want to stay in Chaotian sect for a moment. It was still her female emperor of magnificence who was at ease and awe-inspiring. She didn't want to be at the beck and call of others here. However, when she thought of the strength of Chaotian sect in Lan Luochen, she asked worriedly, "Be careful. The people here are not simple. I'll describe the terrain map to you tonight." A moment later, a faint voice came from the sound transmission talisman. "Them? They are just ordinary people." Chapter 35-48. Don't go back tonight. He Xingjiu curled her lips. Although the gigolo was quite powerful and he might be able to fight one-on-one, there were so many people here. No matter how powerful he was no match for him. However, this guy knew that he could not hurt his man's pride, so he said with a smile, "Prince Charming, I knew you were the most powerful. I'll wait for you. Come, give me a kiss." Soon, the sound transmission talisman vibrated, and Di Biming's cold voice came from it. "Nonsense." Yun Chujio curled her lips. Although it was only 4 words, she still heard a hint of arrogance. This guy curled his lips. There was nothing she could do. She liked the arrogance of a gigolo. He was like an angry kitten. He looked powerful, but in fact he was obedient when she touched his fur. Tower Master Luochen saw He Xingjia's small movements from the corner of his eyes. Seeing her sudden joy and anger, his eyes immediately darkened, and the wine glass in his hand instantly shattered into powder. Everyone looked at him. The female disciple who was playing the zither was so scared that she almost knelt on the ground. Was it because she played too poorly? Tower Master Luochen tightened his hands under his sleeves and said indifferently, "I'm sorry. I was absorbed in listening and used too much strength." The female disciple's mood instantly rose to heaven. She blushed and nodded to Tower Master Luochen before continuing to play. Finally the banquet ended. Just when He Xingjiu was about to go back to her courtyard, Tower Master Luochen said coldly, "Don't go back tonight. Just stay in the guest house." He Xingjiu was dumbfounded. What? Let her stay in the guest courtyard at night? What did Lan Luochen mean? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Xingyu panicked and said hurriedly, "Tower Master, the rooms in the guest courtyard are all full. Let her return to her own courtyard." Xingye's words stopped abruptly because she was so shocked by the gloomy aura of Tower Master Luochen that she was covered in cold sweat. She couldn't even speak. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. Several plans flashed through her mind quickly, but there seemed to be no other way except to agree. So she nodded. "Thank you, Tower Master Luochen." Seeing that she agreed, Tower Master Luchen's expression eased up a little. He lifted his leg and walked toward the guest courtyard. Xingyu couldn't care less about the cold sweat on her head. She gave Yun Chujio a warning glance, her eyes like a poisonous snake. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. "Damn it, why are you staring at me? I don't want to go." She didn't want to have too much to do with Lan Luochen in the first place, and now she didn't want to have any ties with him. Because she inexplicably felt that although the current Tower Master Luochen was Lan Luochen, the original Lan Luochen was only a little depressed, but now he was simply gloomy and even a little paranoid. Even though He Xingjiu was unwilling, she still came to the guest house. Outside the guest house there were still 3 layers of guards. Seeing these guards, He Xingjia's heart jumped. Could it be that Lan Luochen knew that the pretty boy was coming to save her, so he let her stay in the guest house? Because the guest house was heavily guarded, the pretty boy could not succeed? Everyone entered the living room. After Tower Master Luochen took a seat, he resumed his usual expression and said coldly, "Xingyu, move to Tao Shue's room and vacate your room for her." Xingyu couldn't believe her ears. The other maids were all living in a room of 4 people. She had always lived alone, but now she was asked to vacate her room for Lin Chuchu. Chapter 35-49 was beaten into a pig's head. Xingyu almost squeezed out a word from between her teeth, "Yes." Tower Master Luochen looked at He Xingjiu again and said indifferently, "You can stay here for the next few days. If you need anything just look for Xingyu." Although He Xingjiu was unwilling, she had no choice but to agree. She originally thought that Tower Master Luochen would instruct her on other things. Unexpectedly, he waved his hand, indicating that everyone could leave. He Xingjiu couldn't wait to leave, so she followed Xingyu to a side room next to the main room. After entering the room, Xingye's face suddenly turned ferocious. "Bitch, you'd better recognize your own identity, or you won't know how you died." Yun Chujio had been swallowing her anger for the past few days, and she was forced to live here today. She was already very annoyed, but now that Xingyu was jumping around in front of her, her eyes suddenly turned dark. She stared at Xingyu coldly and said, "Either kneel down and apologize, or I'll beat you until you kneel down and apologize. Choose one." Xingyu couldn't believe what she had heard. This trash of Chaotian sect actually dared to threaten her? Was she out of her mind? "Bitch, say it again." Yun Chujio didn't want to waste her breath. She knew that her spiritual power was not as high as Xingye's, so she had Xiao Hanyo curse her. While Xingyu was staggering, Xiao Hanyo jumped forward and first restrained her spiritual power, then gave her a good beating. When the maids outside heard the woman's scream from inside the room, they subconsciously thought that Xingyu was dealing with Yun Chujio, so they pretended not to hear it. When Tower Master Luochen heard the scream, he immediately stood up, but he sat back down. A smile flashed in his eyes. It was indeed the little Jiu that he was familiar with. She was never willing to suffer any losses. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. It was not until 15 minutes later, when the handmaidens realized that something was wrong with the voice, that they pushed open the door and barged in. They saw that Xingye's face was swollen like a pig's head. She was kneeling on the ground in a very sorry state. Lin Chuchu sat upright on the chair with a smile. When he saw everyone come in, he sighed and said, "Sigh. Sister Xingyu insisted on apologizing to me just now." She slapped herself. "I couldn't stop her. Now she's even kneeling down for me. Hurry up and help her up. I feel really bad." The handmaidens were all dumbfounded. They naturally didn't believe Yin Chuji's nonsense. Other things aside, there were many footprints on Xingye's clothes. Could it be that she was the one who kicked her? This Lin Chuchu was too bold. Although this Xingyu was a handmaiden, she wasn't an ordinary handmaiden. This Lin Chuchu's life was probably in danger. Xingyu saw that everyone was in a daze and no one came to help her. She said angrily, "Are you dead? Hurry up and help me up. Take this bitch down, I will tear her into pieces today." The maids finally came back to their senses and quickly went forward to release Xingye's spiritual power. A few maids approached Yun Chujio and were ready to take her down. Right at this moment, Tower Master Luchen's voice came from the door. "What's going on?" Xingyu immediately cried out, "Tower Master, you have to give this servant justice. This Lin Chuchu beat this servant to such a state for no reason. She is challenging the dignity of the 9 pavilions." Tower Master Luochen looked at Xingye's beaten face and frowned, but a trace of a smile flashed across his eyes. The beating was really fierce. He had wanted to do this for a long time. Chapter 3550. She was trying to make herself suffer. Lin Chuchu, what do you have to say? Tower Master Luochen asked coldly. He Xingjiu blinked her eyes and said, "Sister Xingye's face was made like this by herself. Besides, my spiritual power is only at the first level of the spirit transformation realm. How can I defeat Sister Xingyu?" The maids looked at Xingyu suspiciously when they heard Yun Chuji's words. Yes, Xingye's spiritual power was at the 8th level of the spirit connection realm. It was more than 10 levels higher than Lin Chuchi's. How could she be beaten like this? Could there really be something hidden? Xingyu pointed at Yun Chujio and said angrily, "You're talking nonsense. At that time I accidentally stumbled, so I was tricked by you. Tower Master, look at these shoe prints on my body. They were all kicked by that Lin Chujio. If you don't believe me, you can compare them with her boots." Everyone's gaze fell on the shoe prints on Xingye's clothes, and they immediately felt that Xingye's words made sense. Tower Master Luochen frowned, afraid that little Jiu wouldn't be able to escape this time. "I admit that I was the one who kicked those shoe prints, but I was also very helpless. I saw Sister Xingyu beat herself into a pig's head, and even knelt on the ground to kowtow to me to apologize. I thought that she was crazy, so I restrained her spiritual power and kicked her a few times, hoping to wake her up a little." Yun Chujio spread out her hands, indicating that she was really innocent. Xingyu almost died of anger. If not for Tower Master Luochen standing by the side, she would definitely have killed He Xingjiu. "Tower Master, she is simply spouting nonsense. Why would I go crazy out of the blue? I gave the room to her out of kindness, but she repaid my kindness with enmity and beat me into this state. You must help me." Xingyu cried. Before Tower Master Luochen could say anything, He Xingjiu clapped her hands and said, "Ah, I know. No wonder Sister Xingyu wanted to put on such an act. It turns out that it's all because of this room. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, you must be unhappy because I stayed in your room. However, you didn't dare to disobey Tower Master's order, so you came up with a bitter trick. You injured yourself and then framed me for it, but I stubbornly kicked you a few times, which confirmed this matter. Sister Xingyu is really good at scheming." Hearing He Xingjiu's words, the maids immediately believed her. Xingyu was usually arrogant and domineering, so she was naturally unwilling to give the room to this Lin Chuchu. Therefore, in order to take revenge on this Lin Chuchu, she used this cruel trick. She really put in a lot of money. Xingyu saw everyone's gazes and was so angry that she almost vomited blood. Just as she was about to defend herself, Tower Master Luochen said with some displeasure, "Forget it, today's matter ends here. No one is to mention this matter anymore. Disperse." Xingyu simply could not believe what she had heard. Was this matter just let go? Did this mean that Tower Master believed Lin Chuchu's words? She wanted to defend herself, but when she saw the gloomy expression on Tower Master Luchen's face, she immediately swallowed her words. She looked at Yun Chujio with a cold gaze before she was supported by the other handmaidens and left. After the handmaidens left, Tower Master Luochen did not leave. Instead, he closed the door behind him and looked at He Xingjiu with a burning gaze. He Xingjiu's heart was beating fast. What was Lan Luochen trying to do? She followed the principle of the enemy not moving and not moving. She did not move or speak. She thought that Tower Master Luochen would say or do something. She did not expect that Tower Master Luochen would only stare at her with an obscure gaze for a long time before he pushed the door open and left. Chapter 3551. Pretty boy is my little cutie. He Xingjiu finally let out a sigh of relief when she saw Tower Master Luochen leave. Oh my god. I was scared to death. How did this Lan Luochen turn into a psychopath? The little black bird in the spirit beast bag said slyly, "Master, isn't the pretty boy also a psychopath? Why aren't you afraid of him?" He Xingjiu raised her eyebrows. Can Lan Luochen compare to the pretty boy? No matter how crazy the pretty boy is, he won't hurt me. This Lan Luochen is gloomy. I always feel that he is in danger. Besides, a gigolo is my little cutie. I like him no matter how crazy he is. Xiao Hanio almost vomited. His master was also developing into a crazy person. At the mention of de-biming, He Xingjiu frowned. She took out a voice transmission talisman and said, "Lan Luochen has brought me to the guest house. There are many guards here. Why don't you wait for me near the female toilet next to the North Peak Spirit Beast Garden tomorrow, and then we can sneak out." Soon, a voice that sounded like someone was gnashing his teeth came from the voice transmission talisman. "I have my own plans. Just you wait." He Xingjiu did not have any hope of de-biming's meeting. After all, it was embarrassing to have such a pretentious person hiding near the female toilet, not to mention a crazy person who was obsessed with cleanliness. Just as He Xingjiu was about to put away the voice transmission talisman vibrated again. The guy wondered if the pretty boy had changed his mind? After she sent her spiritual sense in, de-biming's cold voice was heard, "Don't sleep tonight. Cultivate." He Xingjiu, was he crazy? Why didn't he sleep at night and cultivate? He Xingjiu ignored the crazy guy and closed her eyes to sleep. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. However, every hour, a certain guy would send her a voice transmission talisman with the same content, "Get up and cultivate." He Xingjiu was so angry that she almost crushed the voice transmission rune into pieces. She shouted at the rune, "Pretty boy, are you crazy? I want to sleep. Shut up." However, it was useless. The voice transmission rune still started to vibrate on time. In the end, He Xingjiu had no choice but to get up and cultivate. She hated the certain someone and prepared more than 100 kinds of torture to punish him. After the sun came out, the voice transmission rune disappeared without a trace. He Xingjiu gnashed her teeth in anger. Although it was not a problem for cultivators not to sleep for a few days, this guy had always been eating, drinking, and sleeping well. He was extremely unhappy that he did not sleep at all. At this moment, Xing Ye's gnashing voice came from the door. "Lin Chuchu, the pavilion master wants you to help him wash up. Come out now." Killing intent flashed in He Xingjiu's eyes. "Get lost. He'll kill you if you keep shouting." Xing Yu, the other handmaidens, Has this Lin Chuchu gone mad? Xingyu came back to her senses and sneered. She didn't knock on the door anymore. Instead, she went to Tower Master Luchen's bedroom and said respectfully, "Tower Master, I went to pass down your order just now, but that Lin Chuchu told me to get lost. What do you think? Come in and help me wash up." Tower Master Luchen's cold voice came from inside. Xingye's slightly swollen face suddenly revealed a smug look. That Lin Chuchu was really courting death. She would have a good time. After Xingyu went in, she saw Tower Master Luochen sitting by the bed in his undergarments. Her heart couldn't help but beat violently. Even if she could see Tower Master every day, she would still be amazed by Tower Master's stunning appearance. Chapter 3552 was indeed hidden in Chaotian sect just as Xingyu was in a daze. Tower Master Luochen said indifferently, "You've been wronged yesterday. She's still useful so we can't touch her for the time being. Well, take action today." Xingye's face blushed when she heard this. The Tower Master actually knew that she was wronged? And he even comforted her? Xingyu suddenly felt that the beating last night was worth it. As for Lin Chuchu, the Pavilion Master said that he couldn't touch her for the time being. Did that mean that he could teach her a lesson in the future? Xingyu happily helped Tower Master Luochen wash up. He Xingjiu only strolled in after breakfast. Xingyu snorted, "You are so arrogant. I called you to serve the Pavilion Master this morning. Why didn't you come?" Yun Chujiu looked innocent and confused. "Sister Xingyu, did you call me this morning? I didn't hear you. I sleep like a log. If you call me next time, you must call me more often." Xingyu pursed her lips and thought of what Tower Master Luochen had said before. She was too lazy to argue with Yun Chujiu. They left the guest house. Although He Xingjiu was still dutifully introducing the scenery, she was a little worried. She didn't know what the pretty boy would think of to save her, so she was worried. A day passed by slowly. He Xingjiu had been absent-minded. Fortunately, Tower Master Luochen didn't talk much today, so the day's journey ended smoothly. Just as He Xingjiu was about to find an excuse not to go to the guest house, Tower Master Luochen said, "You'd better go back to your own courtyard today and come over early tomorrow." He Xingjiu was both surprised and happy. Lan Luochen, this crazy person, had finally become normal? This fellow hurriedly agreed and then skipped away. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Xingyu looked at Yun Chujiu's back and sneered in her heart. You won't be able to laugh very soon. He Xingjiu skipped back to the dormitory and immediately told Di Biming the news, telling him to go according to the original plan. Di Biming quickly replied with an N and did not say anything else. He Xingjiu had a simple dinner and was very happy in her heart. She was finally going to leave this damn place. This was great. On the other side, after Tower Master Luochen and Xingyu entered the guest house, Xingyu followed Tower Master Luochen into the study room. In the study room stood Tower Master Luochen. Tower Master Luochen, who came in with Xingyu, took off a mask from his face, changed into a set of guard's clothes and left. Did everything go smoothly today? Tower Master Luochen asked coldly. Tower Master, everything went smoothly. No one found any flaws. Did you get that thing? Xingyu couldn't hide her excitement. Tower Master Luochen nodded, and a jet black bead appeared in his hand. There was a hint of joy in his tone. This thing is indeed hidden in Chaotian sect. We didn't come for nothing this time. Xingyu looked at Tower Master Luochen with admiration. Tower Master, you are so wise. The people of Chaotian sect all saw Lin Chuchu accompanying you around. Even if they found this thing missing in the future, they wouldn't suspect you. Hearing Xingyu mention Lin Chuchu, Tower Master Luchen's eyes darkened. He said lightly, not only that, if I'm not wrong, Lin Chuchu will soon be rescued and left Chaotian sect. At that time, even if the incident is exposed, Chaotian sect will only suspect Lin Chuchu and the person who rescued her. Chapter 3553 flew away when Xingyu heard Tower Master Luchen's words. She immediately threw the grievances of the past few days to the back of her mind. At first, she thought that the Tower Master had some feelings for Lin Chuchu, but she didn't expect that not only did the Tower Master use her as a cover, but he was also planning to frame her. She had really misunderstood the Tower Master. The Tower Master is indeed clever. However, Chaotian sect is heavily guarded. Can the person you mentioned save Lin Chuchu? Xingyu asked uncertainly. Previously, she really thought that Lin Chuchu was a member of Chaotian sect. It wasn't until the pavilion master asked her to find someone to investigate that she realized that many people had never seen this Lin Chuchu before. They were brought back by someone who had gone out for the trial by accident. However, the pavilion master was afraid that Chao Tian sect would be embarrassed, so he didn't expose it. It was a good opportunity to use her to deceive the world. Tower Master Luchen's eyes revealed some mockery as he said coldly, "Wouldn't it be better if we can't save her?" Xingyu was stunned at first, then she smiled and said, "Tower Master is right. If that person can't save Lin Chuchu, then we'll think of a way to kill them. Then we won't be able to prove it." Tower Master Luochen nodded, his eyes flashing with a dark and obscure look. He didn't want to put Yun Chuzhou in danger, but in order to clear all the obstacles he had to do this. He had enough confidence to ensure her safety. Moreover, this way Xingyu would not suspect his intentions toward Yun Chuzhou, so that the people behind Xingyu would not find trouble with Yun Chuzhou. While Tower Master Luochen was thinking, the black bead in his hand flew out of his palm. It was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, it had broken through the window. Tower Master Luochen and Xingyu were stunned when they saw the hole made by the bead on the window. Then they turned pale with fright. Tower Master Luochen opened the door and flew out without saying anything. He thought that the bead had flown far away, but he didn't expect that the bead was wandering around the courtyard and even in the side room. Seeing Tower Master Luochen coming out of the house, the bead flew out of the courtyard with a whoosh. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Tower Master Luochen subconsciously ordered the guards outside, "Catch that bead. Don't let it run away." As soon as he said that, he knew that something was wrong. If they mobilized a large force to catch that bead, wouldn't it be a confession? The people of Chao Tian sect weren't fools, and it wouldn't be easy to end things by then. But it was already too late. The guards of 9 pavilions rode their swords to catch that bead. Even if he wanted to revoke the order, it was too late. Many people of Chao Tian sect must have seen this scene. Tower Master Luochen gritted his teeth. This opportunity was going to be wasted. The most important thing now was to clear his name. As for the bead, he would come and get it in the future. Tower Master Luochen thought about it as he chased. He finally thought of a plausible reason. After all, he had the evidence of his alibi. The Chao Tian sect disciples should believe him. At this moment, Chao Tian sect was in an uproar. The disciples of Chao Tian sect naturally saw the people of 9 pavilions chasing after a bead with great fanfare, and the news quickly reached the ears of the Jima sect master and the others. The Jima sect master, the North and South Peak masters, and several elders immediately panicked. A black bead? Could it be the bead sealed in the Forbidden Land? Why did it fly out of nowhere? There was no time to think. The Jima sect master first activated the sect guarding formation, and then everyone joined the team that was chasing after the bead. Because of the sect guarding formation, the black bead couldn't leave Chao Tian sect. This made the Jima sect master and the others feel a little relieved. Although the bead was slippery and hard to catch as long as it didn't leave Chao Tian sect. They had a way to catch it. The bead was flying everywhere in Chao Tian sect. Since it was small, it could easily fit through any gap. In addition, it was already dark, so they couldn't catch it even after a long time. Tower Master Luochen nodded slightly when he saw the Jima sect master. "Sect Master Jima, I found the bead in the courtyard just now. I felt that something was wrong, so I asked my men to help catch it. Please forgive me for trespassing." "Tower Master, I should be the one thanking you. This bead is no small matter. We should work together to capture it and send it back to the forbidden area." Although Tower Master Luochen had some doubts in his heart, he thought that Tower Master Luochen had been visiting the North Peak during the day and had no time to enter the forbidden area, so the doubt in his heart was dispelled. Tower Master Luochen nodded, and a net-like object appeared in his palm. "This is the spirit trapping net. Everyone work together to drive that bead into the ambush circle, and then I will use this spirit trapping net to catch it." Tower Master Luochen was overjoyed, and he quickly arranged for people to consciously drive the bead in the direction of Tower Master Luochen. After a long time of effort, the bead was finally driven to the vicinity of Tower Master Luochen. Tower Master Luochen threw the bead in his hand and the spirit trapping net trapped it firmly inside. Tower Master Luochen put the spirit trapping net back into his hand and looked at the bead inside the spirit trapping net. Although he wished he could take it away, he could only say under the watchful eyes of everyone, "Master Jima, since we have already trapped this bead, why don't we enter the forbidden area immediately to prevent it from escaping?" Tower Master Jima was afraid that Tower Master Luochen would withdraw the spirit-trapping net and the bead would escape again, so he hurriedly nodded and said, Okay, let's not delay. We will head to the forbidden area immediately. Thus, Tower Master Luochen held the bead that was trapped in the spirit-trapping net in his hand and followed Tower Master Jima to the forbidden area. When everyone passed by the Spirit Beast Garden, the originally peaceful bead suddenly glowed brightly. Tower Master Luochen was blinded by the dazzling light and closed his eyes. When he opened his eyes, the spirit net in his hand had already broken a big hole, and that bead had already disappeared. Everyone was instantly dumbfounded. The light just now was too dazzling. Everyone subconsciously closed their eyes in that instant, so no one knew what had happened just now. The Jima sect master jumped anxiously. Quickly find it. We must not let that bead enter the human world or there will be a disaster. Everyone suddenly became busy. Some disciples even lay on the ground and searched carefully, but that bead was only the size of a longan and the sky was dark. Where could they find it? The Jima sect master kept sighing. Elder Zhuge suddenly said, Sect master, I remember that although the bead can hide its aura in the dark, it won't be able to hide its aura once the sun comes out. We can definitely find it by then. Upon hearing this, the Jima sect master's expression eased up a little. As long as the sect protecting formation was not removed, the bead would not be able to leave Chaotian sect. They would definitely be able to find it after daybreak. Thinking of this, the leader of the Jima sect sent people to continue searching for the bead, and politely told Tower Master Luochen to go back and rest. Only then did he summon the North and South Peak Masters and the Elders to the meeting hall to discuss this matter. Everyone discussed and discussed. Someone said, Leader, I think this matter has something to do with Tower Master Luochen. Otherwise, why would he suddenly come to our Chaotian sect? And that bead flew out from his courtyard in the beginning. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Chapter 3555 Almost choked to death. Suddenly someone chimed in, That's right. It said that Tower Master Luochen rarely goes to any sect, so there's no reason for him to stay in our Chaotian sect for a few days. No matter how I think about it, something doesn't feel right. However, there were also people who disagreed. For example, Elder Zhuge. Although Tower Master Luchen's visit this time was a little sudden, he has been touring the North Peak for the whole day. He didn't return to the guest house until sunset, so he didn't have time to enter the forbidden area. Moreover, if he stole the bead from the forbidden area, why did he help us catch the bead and put it into his storage ring? Hearing this, everyone felt that what Elder Zhuge said made sense. Not everyone could enter the forbidden area of Chaotian sect. Although Tower Master Luochen had brought many guards, those people didn't have the ability to enter the forbidden area. Seeing that both sides were in a deadlock, the untainted sect master could only say, It's more important to find that bead first. As for whether Tower Master Luochen is related to this matter, we will discuss it later. Everyone nodded their heads in agreement. Then they waited for the sun to rise. After finding that bead, they would send it back to the seal of the forbidden area. Chaotian sect was in a mess. A certain Jiao who always liked to join in the fun, didn't come out to watch the fun. This fellow was afraid that Di Biming would come to save her, so he didn't dare to leave the dormitory for even a moment. However, this fellow couldn't suppress his curiosity. He stood in the courtyard and looked around. He vaguely heard something about a bead and his mouth twitched. This Chaotian sect could be considered a big business. Was there a need to make such a big fuss over a broken bead? Was he not planning to sleep? However, when this fellow heard that the sect protecting formation had been activated, he was instantly dumbfounded. Once the sect protecting formation was activated, how could the pretty boy come in? This guy immediately hated that stupid bead. If it hadn't caused trouble, she would have been able to leave Chaotian sect today. But now, with such a mess, she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to leave for a while. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. He Xingjiu had no choice but to take out the sound transmission talisman and brag about the matter. She asked Di Biming to find a place to stay for a few days and come back to save her when the time was right. Di Biming was silent for a moment before he finally replied with a yes. He Xingjiu could vaguely hear that the noise had become quieter and yawned. Since she could not leave today, she would just go to sleep. She had not slept the whole night because of the gigolo. She had to catch up on her sleep today. This guy opened his mouth and was yawning. Suddenly, something jumped into her mouth and almost choked him to death. The guy rolled his eyes and was about to get the thing out of his throat when it slipped into his stomach. He Xingjiu was dumbfounded. The guy inexplicably felt that the thing that went into her stomach was some broken bead that the Chaotian sect people were looking for. The guy was afraid of getting into trouble, so he quickly went into the bedroom and began to look inside. This guy searched his body and even his dantian, but he didn't find that thing. It seemed to have suddenly disappeared. He Xingjiu immediately panicked. That thing was the size of a longan. How could it disappear just like that? Where did it go? When He Xingjiu was panicking, Guaichao shook its leaves. He Xingjiu widened her eyes. Go Weiba, did you eat that thing? Guaichao immediately shook its leaves aggrievedly, and all the leaves pointed in one direction. Chapter 3556 is playing US for Fools. He Xingjiu looked in the direction that Guaichao was pointing at and was stunned. Guaichao was actually pointing at the black bead. Back then, when the cheapskate grandfather gave the black bead to her, he had said that only the Yun family could make it recognize its master. At that time, it was quite incredible that she could make it recognize its master. It was not until she returned to the Yun family that she realized that she was really a member of the Yun family. Presumably, the distant ancestors of the Qingshen continent and the Yun family of the Towering Sky continent should be a family. That was why she was able to make the black bead recognize her as its master. Speaking of which, the black bead did not have a strong sense of existence. Other than devouring the power of thunder and lightning, when He Xingjiu fell into an illusion, it would use the pain to remind He Xingjiu. Other than that, there was nothing unusual about it. Right, there was another point. The black bead had once devoured a lot of Hundun energy in the forbidden area of the Palace of Immortals. Could it be that the thing that had entered her mouth was swallowed by the black bead? Go Weiba, do you mean that the thing was eaten by the black bead? The leaves of the Guaichao shook, apparently confirming Yun Chujia's statement. Yun Chujiu used her spiritual sense to look at the black bead carefully, but she did not find anything different. Forget it, let's eat it. After all, none of the things she raised were normal. She was already used to it. Moreover, something that could make the Chaotian sect mobilize so many people was definitely a good thing. If it was swallowed by the black bead, it would indirectly belong to her. This round of operation was not a loss at all. He Xingjiu was really magnanimous. After such an earth-shaking event had happened, this fellow had thrown it to the back of her mind and was lying on the bed sound asleep. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The next morning, after He Xingjiu finished her breakfast, she left the dormitory and hopped toward the guest house. Along the way, she met countless Chaotian sect disciples who were searching for the bead on the branches of the bushes. She was secretly happy. Take your time. Even if you find the Elder of Eternity, you won't be able to find the bead. When she reached the entrance of the guest house, a guard went in to report. After a while, Xingyu walked out. She said impatiently, "Something has happened to your Chaotian sect, so it's not convenient for our pavilion master to tour around today. You can go back." Yun Chujiu couldn't wait to do that, so she left with a smile. Xingyu pursed her lips. This Lin Chuchu might really think that she was favored by their pavilion master, but in fact she was just a chess piece. What an idiot. However, when she thought of what happened last night, Xing Ye's expression suddenly became a little ugly. The original plan was flawless, but who would have thought that the bead would actually escape from the pavilion master's hands? What bad luck. However, as long as the bead was still in Chaotian sect, the pavilion master would find another way to get it away sooner or later. As for Lin Chuchu, she was just a piece of trash. He would find a chance to deal with her in the future. To avoid suspicion, He Xingjiu went straight back to her dormitory after leaving the guest house. She didn't go out. The people of Chaotian sect searched for an entire day, but they didn't even see the bead. The Jima sect master and the others immediately looked worried. Where did the bead go? Someone said, "Sect master, that bead was lost in the hands of Tower Master Luochen. Could it be that he had secretly stolen it and used some secret method to create the light, and then hid the bead while we were closing our eyes?" Elder Zhong is right. Maybe that bead was stolen by someone sent by Tower Master Luochen from the forbidden area, and then somehow the bead escaped. Tower Master Luochen got the bead again in the name of helping us find the bead. Then he deliberately hid the bead from us. He is playing us like fools. Chapter 3557. Search the entire sect. Hearing the words of these two people, everyone immediately began to discuss. The more they talked, the more they felt that the bead had been hidden by Tower Master Luochen. Even Elder Zhuge, who had previously spoken up for Tower Master Luochen, frowned. This matter was too coincidental. Tower Master Luochen was too suspicious. The untainted sect leader's expression was ugly. Could it be that they had respectfully welcomed in a thief? Although the 9 pavilions had a high status and powerful strength, their Chaotian sect was not a fool that would be fooled by others. Moreover, the successive sect leaders had instructed the next sect leader that the beads sealed in the Forbidden Land were no trifling matter and should not be allowed to wander around in the world. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, even if they might risk offending the 9-storied pavilion, this matter could not be let go just like that. After the Jima sect master explained his intention, everyone expressed their agreement. Even if the 9-storied pavilion was not easy to provoke, this matter had to be investigated thoroughly. Therefore, the Jima sect master immediately sent someone to invite Tower Master Luochen to the meeting hall. Tower Master Luochen had already guessed that the matter would come to this point, and he was very angry. Therefore, he was not in the mood to see Yin Chujio in the morning and allowed Xingyu to send Yin Chujio away. The plan was very detailed and it was so close to success. Who would have thought that not only did they fail to get the bead, but they also attracted the suspicion of Chaotian sect? It was as if they didn't get to eat the fox meat, but they got into trouble instead. This was not the worst, the disappearance of the bead was the worst. The people of Chaotian sect couldn't find the bead even after searching for a whole day. It was likely that they couldn't find it at all. This was really difficult to deal with. As soon as Tower Master Luochen entered the meeting hall, he said coldly without waiting for the Jima sect master to speak, "I know that your sect suspects that I have taken the bead. This is inevitable. After all, the bead disappeared in my hands. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. In order to prove their innocence, everyone in the 9 pavilions can accept the inspection of your sect, including me." If something else was lost, the Jima sect master would have laughed and gone over. However, the bead was no small matter. Therefore, the Jima sect master said a few polite words but didn't reject Tower Master Luchen's words. Of course, the so-called body search was not like the secular world where one would feel around one's body. One only needed to use the person being searched to erase the spiritual imprint of the storage ring and the person searching to use the spiritual imprint to scan it. Immediately, the Jima sect master pleaded guilty and personally searched Tower Master Luchen's storage ring. He did not find any trace of that bead. At the same time, the Jima sect master sent people to search all the people in the 9 pavilions, including the guest courtyard, but also found nothing. The Jima sect master immediately apologized to Tower Master Luochen. Although Tower Master Luchen's face was very ugly, he still said, "Forget it, I also know the importance of that bead. You are right to be careful." Tower Master Luochen clenched his hand in his sleeve. A hint of hesitation flashed in his eyes, but he still said, "Tower Master Luochen, I advise you to search all the suspicious people in the sect to prevent any fish from falling into the net." Tower Master Luochen nodded repeatedly. He immediately asked a few trusted elders to start a whole sect-wide investigation. Everyone had to be checked. He Xinjiu was currently chatting with a certain honored guest in the dormitory. Of course, this fellow was almost angered to the point of vomiting blood, but he still enjoyed it. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door from outside. Lin Chuchu opened the door. "We want to search." He Xinjiu was dumbfounded. She had so many secrets on her that she couldn't even remember them clearly. If she was searched, wouldn't it be terrible? The items were easy to deal with. She could just let the wool ball enter the Great Void Mystic Realm. However, those dumb cuties couldn't enter the Great Void Mirror due to the limitation of their spiritual power. Moreover, even if she let those dumb cuties disguise themselves as ordinary demonic beasts, it was inevitable that Chaotian sect would find her in the future. Moreover, other things were easy to deal with. She still had a phoenix egg. That thing would definitely attract disaster. That's not right. She still had hundreds of giant winged birds in her spiritual beast bag. There were still so many remnant souls. It would be even more difficult to explain when the time came. He Xinjiu broke out in a cold sweat. At that moment, the knocking on the door became even more intense, and her tone became impatient. He Xinjiu was so anxious that she gritted her teeth. She knew that it was not easy to get a bargain. Moreover, she was not the one who wanted to get a bargain. It was that damn broken bead that entered her mouth by itself. What should she do now? Just as this fellow was about to bang his head against the wall, Xiao Hanio, who was inside the spirit beast bag, said, Master, Curly Hair said that you can rest assured and let that person come in and search his body. When he searches the spirit beast bag, he will weave a dream for him. I guarantee that there won't be any problems. He Xingjiu was immediately delighted. That's right, she still had curly hair. This fellow immediately transferred all the valuable things in his storage ring into the great void mystic realm, leaving behind only some unimportant things. At this moment, the courtyard door was forcefully opened, and Elder Zhuge barged in with his men. Elder Zhuge asked unhappily, Lin Chuchu, why didn't you open the door? He Xingjiu yawned. I haven't slept well these 2 nights. I was catching up on my sleep and I thought I was dreaming when I heard the commotion. Elder Zhuge, is there something you need from me? Oh right, Tower Master Luochen said that he wouldn't be touring for the next 2 days, so I didn't go to the guest house. I'm not slacking off. Elder Zhuge glared at her. What nonsense. Right now, he wasn't in the mood to care about whether Tower Master Luochen went sightseeing or not. All he wanted to do now was to find that bead. Alright, stop talking nonsense. I guess you've heard that our Chaotian sect has lost a very important thing. Now that the entire sect is being searched, you can't be an exception. Come and search me. Elder Zhuge said impatiently. Yun Chujio nodded obediently. Alright, you can check. I don't have much money anyway, so I'm not afraid of revealing my wealth. Elder Zhuge glared at her. To be honest, he felt that this Lin Chujio didn't have the time or ability to commit a crime. This search was just a formality. Elder Zhuge immediately took Yun Chujio's storage ring. When he used his spiritual sense to probe inside, the corner of his eyes twitched violently. After checking so many storage rings, this was the first time he had seen something like this. Apart from a few sets of clothes and some pitiful spirit stones, the rest of the storage rings of this little girl were all food. Moreover, Elder Zhuge saw that some of the bowls and plates were very familiar. When he took a closer look, he saw that there was a mark of Chaotian sect on them. Elder Zhuge withdrew his spiritual sense, and the disciples who had entered the room to search also indicated that they didn't find anything. Elder Zhuge nodded his head and left with his people. He Xingjiu touched her nose. She had thought that they would search the spirit beast bag, but after a long time of false alarm, it had really scared her to death. Chaotian sect had searched for 2 whole days, but they didn't find the bead. It was because this search had solved many old and unsolved cases. Which female disciple had lost her undergarment? Which elder had lost her elixir? For a moment, Chaotian sect was very noisy. Even the Jima sect master had a big head. How did this bead disappear into thin air? Logically speaking, since the sect protection formation had been activated, it was impossible for that bead to leave Chaotian sect. So why couldn't it be found? Tower Master Luochen was also very frustrated. The purpose of his visit this time was for that bead, but now not only did he fail to get it, he even made that bead disappear without a trace. It was really unlucky. Although he was a little worried that the entire sect's search would bring trouble to Yun Chujio, he weighed the pros and cons and still proposed to search the entire sect. Who would have thought that they would still find nothing? Where exactly was that bead hidden? At this point, it was unlikely that there would be any results if he stayed any longer. However, leaving now would inevitably arouse suspicion, so he could only bear with it for a few more days. Tower Master Luchen's eyes flickered a few times, and then he ordered, "Ask Lin Chuchu to come here." Xingyu hesitated for a moment, but she still said, "Tower Master, Chaotian sect is in chaos now. I'm afraid it's not a good time to go sightseeing, right? A few days ago I thought highly of Lin Chuchu. If I ignored her rashly, it would inevitably arouse suspicion. Send someone to call her over and ask her to accompany me to talk about the interesting things in Chaotian sect. It can also prove that I have a clear conscience," Tower Master Luochen said lightly. Xingyu suddenly came to a realization and said, "Tower Master is wise. This servant will personally find Lin Chuchu to chat with you." Although He Xingjiu was reluctant, she had no choice but to follow Xingyu to the guest house. Tea sets, pastries, dried fruits, and other things had been set up on the stone table in the courtyard. Seeing Yun Chujio come in, Tower Master Luochen had a complicated expression in his eyes. There was guilt, love, and some faint probing. After thinking about it for a while, Tower Master Luochen finally felt that Yun Chujio was suspicious. The people of Chaotian sect naturally wouldn't be greedy for the pearl. Only he and Yun Chujio were outsiders. Although he didn't know the secret of Yun Chujio, he knew that she had a special constitution. Could it be that the pearl had fallen into her hands? Tower Master Luchen's complicated eyes flashed, and soon he returned to his usual gloomy and cold appearance. Make tea. Tower Master Luochen said lightly. He Xingjiu could only start to make tea step by step. Tower Master Luochen looked at the rising water vapor and recalled the days when she was in the Tianyuan Institute. Those days that were as light as tea could never be returned. She could only continue to move forward and remove all obstacles. The person in front of her would eventually be hers. Tower Master Luochen held the teacup and didn't drink it. He said coldly, Chaotian sect has been a bit chaotic these days, so it's not convenient for me to go out and visit. Pick some interesting things about Chaotian sect and tell me about them. He Xingjiu felt as if she had a dog in her heart. How would she know what interesting things there were in Chaotian sect? However, it was a good thing that the search for the beads had led to a few old incidents. This could be considered a topic of conversation. Therefore, Yun Chuzhou reworked the gossip she had heard and began to narrate it vividly. Tower Master Luochen was very engrossed in listening, but his eyes were a little vacant. He recalled many memories. These bright colors were the only motivation that supported him until now. However, he could not recognize the person he had been longing for in front of him. He could only spend more time with her in this way. After He Xingjiu told a few interesting stories, Tower Master Luochen said indifferently, Where do you think that bead is hidden? How did it disappear out of nowhere? Yun Chujia's heart skipped a beat. Was he suspecting her? How smart was this guy? He could connect many things in an instant and almost guess the truth with just a thought. She couldn't help but sneer in her heart. This Lan Luochen was really a black-hearted person. Previously, he used her as a cover to deceive the world, and now he suspected that she had taken the bead? Although this guy's heart was in turmoil, he said helplessly on the surface, Tower Master, you think too highly of me. I'm just a little disciple. How can I find something that even the sect leader can't find? Tower Master Luochen stared at He Xingjiu. Seeing that she didn't look like she was faking it, he thought to himself, is he thinking too much? The bead did not fall into her hands? Tower Master Luochen probed a few more times, but still did not find any flaws. On the contrary, He Xingjiu said with emotion, Tower Master, you are really kind-hearted. It seems that you are also worried about the loss of something from our Chaotian sect. Tower Master Luchen's face stiffened. He naturally understood the subtext of Yun Chujia's words. If translated into plain English, it meant that the dog was meddling in other people's business. Tower Master Luochen was not angry. After confirming that Yun Chuzhou had nothing to do with the bead, he heaved a sigh of relief. If the bead was really with Yun Chuzhou, he would really be in a difficult position. In the next 2 days, He Xingjiu would go to Tower Master Luchen's place during the day to talk about some interesting stories about the sect. At night, she would go to the cafeteria to gather materials and pack up the food. Every day the sect protecting formation was activated, it would consume a large amount of spirit stones. Sect Master Jima and the others discussed it and decided that since they could not find the bead, there was no need to activate the sect protecting formation anymore. Hence, they cancelled the sect protecting formation. He Xingjiu was overjoyed. Once the sect protecting formation was removed, the pretty boy would find an opportunity to come in and save her. Then she could return to being the female emperor of Zephyr. That night, a certain figure that He Xingjiu yearned for finally appeared in her courtyard. The certain figure was still dressed in white, and she wore a silver mask on her face. Under the moonlight, she looked as if she was cast by a god. Although He Xingjiu was secretly ridiculing the certain figure for not being afraid of being discovered for wearing white in the middle of the night, she was truly stupid. However, the smile on her face was like a flower. Prince Charming, you are finally here. Seeing you, I feel that the dark night has become brighter. Even the wind has a sweet taste. He Xingjiu flattered him with her starry eyes. The Lord's face stiffened slightly and he said coldly, Don't waste time. Let's go. He Xingjiu nodded obediently. She was not afraid of settling accounts. It was more important to leave this damn place first. This guy took off his spirit-concealing ring and was about to follow behind a certain someone when a certain someone picked her up and jumped out of the courtyard. He Xingjiu's eyes were filled with pink bubbles. Oh my, he even said that his 7 emotions and 6 desires had been sealed. What was with this princess hug? She didn't expect this gigolo to be so good at flirting with girls. Well, if she knew that a certain someone only thought that her spiritual power was too low and that she walked slowly, this guy probably wouldn't think that way. Biming's movement technique was like a ghost as he nimbly dodged wave after wave of patrolling disciples of Chaotian sect. He actually arrived near the mountain gate very quickly. He Xingjiu could not believe her eyes. So smooth? Wasn't this a little too simple? Just as He Xingjiu was thinking about it, she saw many disciples of Chaotian sect surging out from the surroundings of the mountain gate, led by the sect master of Jima sect. The sect protection formation of Chaotian sect was activated once again. In an instant, it was brightly lit as if it was daytime. He Xingjiu's heart sank. She knew it wouldn't be so easy to get out. Was she being tricked? She looked up at a certain someone. That person's eyes were still calm, as if the people in front of her were all big radishes. It had to be said that her pretty boy was very calm. Of course, it could also be facial paralysis. That person did not put He Xingjiu down, and He Xingjiu was happy to play dumb. She even took the opportunity to rub her head against that person's chest. Bang! A certain someone let go, and He Xingjiu fell to the ground miserably. This guy was stunned from the fall. If it wasn't for the fact that he was facing a great enemy, this guy would definitely have put up a good fight. He Xingjiu stood up as if nothing had happened. Then she said to the somewhat dazed Jima sect master, "Why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night? Are you here just to disturb my intimate relationship with my husband?" Leader of the Jima sect, even in his wildest dreams, he had never thought that Lin Chuchu would say such a few words. Shouldn't he be frightened and guilty? Shouldn't he run away in a panic? Leader of the Jima sect slowed down. He shouted sternly, "Lin Chuchu, thanks to Tower Master Luchen's reminder, we realized that your arrival was too much of a coincidence. If you hand over the item now, I can make the decision to let you leave. Otherwise, you won't be able to escape today." He Xingjiu heard the Jima sect master's words and looked at Tower Master Luochen, who was standing not far away with a slightly mocking gaze. Was he planning to turn hostile? Was good too. Everything in the past would be written off, lest she, a person who cared about old relationships, was unable to be heartless. Tower Master Luochen saw Yun Chuji's gaze and his hands tightly clenched together under his sleeves. His heart ached. "Little Gio, don't blame me. This is the only way to completely wash away my suspicion. Moreover, this is the best chance to get rid of Biming. As for you, I will make sure you are safe and sound." Yun Chujio retracted her gaze from Tower Master Luochen and said to the Jima sect leader, "Sect leader Jima, I believe you have investigated clearly how I came to Chaotian sect. If this is my conspiracy, then I am too stupid, right? I sent myself to the bottom of the sea to wait for your disciples? Am I not afraid of losing my life? Moreover, after I was discovered, I had to leave Chaotian sect as soon as possible because of Tower Master Luchen's arrival. I was forced to go out to welcome him. Can I even plan this? Most importantly, I have been accompanying Tower Master Luochen on a tour all day. When did I commit this crime? Moreover, I'm a piece of trash in the first level of the spiritualization realm. Can I succeed?" The Jima sect master was rendered speechless by the question, but he soon sneered, "Maybe you didn't plan it in the beginning, but maybe it was a spur-of-the-moment idea. Otherwise, how can you explain the person next to you? He sneaked into our Chaotian sect. What else could it be if he wasn't plotting something?" He Xingjiu hugged a certain honored warrior's waist and smiled sweetly. "Yes, he is up to no good. He is up to no good. Isn't it only right and proper for my husband to come and rescue me? Why does Sect Master Jima have a problem with that?" Sect Master Jima sized up a certain honored warrior with some trepidation and said, "If you can let me search you and prove that you didn't take anything from our Chaotian sect, I can let you leave." He Xingjiu knew with her toes that a certain someone would not agree. He was not like her who could bend and stretch. As expected, a certain someone's cold voice sounded, "Get out of the way or die." He Xingjiu was on the verge of tears. "Pretty boy, even though you look handsome. But aren't you courting death? There are so many people and the sect protection array is still open. No matter how powerful you are, you can't get out. Cough cough, not to mention that she is a burden." As expected, the Jima sect master sneered, "Young master, your tone is a little too arrogant. It is true that your spiritual power may be higher than the people of our Chaotian sect, but it is difficult for two fists to fight against four hands. Do you still want to behave atrociously in the territory of our Chaotian sect?" Hei Xingjiu was afraid that a certain honored warrior would say something earth-shaking again. She quickly said, "Sect Master Jima, my husband has a bad temper and he doesn't know how to talk. He means that either you let us go or we will die by ourselves." A certain honored warrior, Sect Master Jima, everyone. After a period of silence that was as quiet as a chicken, Sect Master Jima sneered, "Lin Chuchu, you don't need to use sweet words anymore. Are you going to hand it over or not?" Hei Xingjiu sighed, "I want to hand it over, but I have never seen the thing you mentioned." "Jima Sect Master, you are also a smart person. Are you going to let others play with you? Don't you know who has the thing? Can't you see through such an obvious diversion? I have been framed from the beginning. Otherwise, how could I become Tower Master Luchen's guide? Wasn't it because he could see that my identity was different so he could make a big fuss about it? Now, in order to clear his own suspicion, he played such a trick again. He deserved my bad luck. Coincidentally, I was in a hurry to reunite with my husband, so I fell into his trap. It doesn't matter if my husband and I are dead or not. Jima Sect Master, are you willing to let others play around with you like a fool?" "Oh right, I also remembered something. On the day of the incident, Tower Master Luochen was silent and his temperament was slightly different. At that time, I was only thinking about my husband, so I didn't pay too much attention. Now that I think about it, there's a lot going on." Hei Xingjiu sneered in her heart. Even if she and the gigolo were to suffer today, that scumlon Luochen wouldn't be able to think of anything good either. If he wanted to scheme against her, he was courting death. Hearing Yun Chuji's words, Tower Master Luochen pursed his lips tightly. He felt a dull pain in his heart. Sooner or later, little Jiu would know his painstaking efforts. Even if she hated him, he would still insist on doing so. Only by getting rid of Di Biming would she belong to him completely. Upon hearing Yun Chuji's words, the Jima Sect Master showed some suspicion on his face, but he quickly said, "Regardless of whether this matter is related to Tower Master Luochen or not, you won't be able to get rid of the suspicion. Just surrender." Before Hei Xingjiu could say anything, a certain someone said in a cold voice, "For the last time, get out of the way or die." Seeing that the certain someone was so arrogant, many people of Chaotian sect immediately shouted, "Leader, give the order. These two people are too stubborn. Just capture them and search their bodies." The leader of the Jima sect nodded and waved his hand, motioning for everyone to take down Di Biming and Hei Xingjiu. Hei Xingjiu rolled up her sleeves and was about to summon De Hua to fight to the death when she saw a figure flash by her side. Then she realized that the miserable Jima sect master was strangled by a certain someone. Everyone was stunned by this unexpected turn of events. The Jima sect master was the person with the highest spiritual power in the Chaotian sect. How could he be so easily taken hostage by that man? Hei Xingjiu, on the other hand, was grinning from ear to ear. Her gigolo was indeed smart. He would first catch the leader of the bandits. "Let's see if this bunch of Chaotian peppers still dared to stop them." This guy said in a domineering manner, "See? My man is so awesome. It's not that I'm bragging, but we don't even care about that damn thing of your Chaotian sect. We don't want it even if you give it to us for free. Now get out of the way, or else you will be eager to see the Jima sect master die so that you can usurp the position of the sect master." Although the Jima sect master was stunned and frightened for a moment, his expression soon recovered. He said coldly, "It's not a pity for me to die. Don't worry about me. Catch them." Hei Xingjiu clicked her tongue and said, "You old man, you are quite shrewd. I know you are lying. You just want to take the opportunity to see who in Chaotian sect is truly good to you and who is scheming against you." The Jima sect master was stunned. Even if he continued to explain, most people would still believe what this little girl said. This little girl was really difficult to deal with. Di Biming dragged the Jima sect master closer and closer to the mountain gate. The people of Chaotian sect were afraid that Di Biming would kill the Jima sect master, so they had no choice but to retreat. Tower Master Luochen frowned. He had gone through a lot of trouble to design this and made Little Nine hate him. If he let Di Biming leave just like that, wouldn't the loss outweigh the gain? Thinking of this, he flew in front of Di Biming to block him. Di Biming glanced at him. His cold and bone-chilling gaze made Tower Master Luochen feel his blood surge. It was no longer the same as before, their statuses were completely reversed. This Di Biming was still so arrogant, what right did he have? Tower Master Luochen said coldly, "Let go of the Jima sect leader now, and accept the body search or else HMP." Yun Chujiu was so angry that she gritted her teeth, pointed at Tower Master Luochen and scolded, "You ingrate! Get out of the way!" PN0V1 A trace of hurt flashed across Tower Master Luochen's eyes. He clenched his fists and ignored Yun Chujia's words. Instead, he looked at Di Biming even more fiercely. "If you don't let go, I will have to force you to stay." Di Biming's clear voice rang out. "Threaten me? You are not worthy." Tower Master Luochen's face turned extremely ugly. He couldn't care less about the Jima sect leader that Di Biming held, so he swung his palm at Di Biming. "Tower Master Luochen!" The people of Chaotian sect exclaimed. This Tower Master Luochen had gone too far. Wasn't he afraid that the man would use the Jima sect master to block this palm? What shocked everyone was that the man didn't use the Jima sect master to block this palm. He didn't even dodge it. He only waved his sleeve, and Tower Master Luochen was forced to retreat more than 10 steps. Tower Master Luochen looked at Di Biming in disbelief. No, this was impossible. How could he be so powerful all of a sudden? Di Biming glanced at the crowd. "Aren't you guys going to move?" The Jima sect leader could no longer maintain his calm expression. He said in a trembling voice, "Withdraw the sect protection formation and let them go." This person had such terrifying strength. Even if Chaotian sect could keep them in the end, they would definitely suffer heavy casualties. The loss outweighed the gain. Moreover, with this person's level of pride, he would not dare to lie. That pearl should not have been taken by him. "Hold on. That thing is of great importance. We can't let him go." Tower Master Luochen led the people of the 9 pavilions to block in front. Hei Xingjiu narrowed her eyes and stared at Tower Master Luochen as she said word by word, "Tower Master Luochen is really warm-hearted. What, are you afraid that you won't be able to defend yourself if we 2 scapegoats leave?" Tower Master Luochen tightened his grip and shifted his gaze, not looking directly at Yin Chujio. He said coldly, "As the Tower Master of the 9 pavilions, I naturally can't sit idly by. Leave your things here and I'll let you leave. Otherwise you can forget about leaving Chaotian sect today." Yun Chujio gritted her teeth in anger. If she had known earlier that Lan Luochen was such a scum, she should not have known him and given him herbs to cure his mother's old illness. What an ingrate. Yun Chujio was about to say something when she was pulled to the back by a certain someone. Then she heard a certain someone's cold voice, "Are you guys going to take turns or attack together?" Hei Xingjiu was about to cry. Although such a pretty boy was pretty cool, but a fierce tiger could not defeat a pack of wolves. Wasn't this courting death? Tower Master Luochen saw Di Biming's slightly contemptuous gaze, and his eyes became even gloomier. He suddenly jumped forward, but the direction he jumped towards was towards Yin Chujio. He could only separate Yin Chujio first. Only then could he let everyone go up and kill Di Biming. Hei Xingjiu and Tower Master Luchen's spiritual power were vastly different. When he realized that Tower Master Luchen's target was her, it was already too late to dodge. This fellow couldn't help but complain in his heart. This was bad. Just as Tower Master Luchen's hand was about to touch Hei Xingjiu's body, he was sent flying by a powerful force. Tower Master Luochen staggered a few times before he regained his footing. Hei Xingjiu's eyes sparkled as she looked at a certain someone who had already retracted his hand. Oh, how did this pretty boy suddenly become so powerful? He was simply invincible in this world. Tower Master Luchen's eyes were filled with shock. This was the first time he was forced back. He thought that it was because he had underestimated his opponent. However, he was already on guard this time. He was actually forced back more than 10 steps. Why did Di Biming's strength suddenly increase? Xingyu looked at Hei Xingjiu with jealousy and hatred. Although the man was wearing a mask, his noble bearing was not inferior to Tower Master. He was even slightly better than Tower Master. How could Lin Chuchu deserve such an outstanding man? Xingyu said to Tower Master Luochen viciously, "Tower Master, let everyone attack together. Kill this dog man and woman. There is no need to talk about morality when dealing with such people. Finding that thing is more important." Tower Master Luochen looked at her coldly, then said to the guards behind him, "Attack together." Kill the men on the spot and leave the women alive. Although Tower Master Luochen didn't want to do this, he had no other choice now. Moreover, he planned to lock Yin Chujio up by his side after Di Biming was restrained by the guards, so that he wouldn't hurt her. The guards of the 9 pavilions immediately rushed towards Di Biming and Hei Xingjiu. All kinds of spiritual power attacks flooded towards Di Biming. Before He Xingjiu could release De Hua, Di Biming had already protected her in his arms and released a huge ice dragon. The body of the ice dragon was several times bigger than De Hua. Even though it was a spiritual beast, the beast-like pressure made people tremble from the bottom of their hearts. The scales on the ice dragon's body flickered with a cold light. In the blink of an eye, the guards of the 9 pavilions were either dead or injured. The ice dragon didn't disappear, but rushed toward the dumbfounded Tower Master Luochen. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Tower Master Luochen hurriedly dodged in a flustered manner. Even so, he was still swept by the dragon whiskers. Fortunately, he had activated his spiritual energy barrier, which allowed him to remain uninjured. At this moment, deep fear rose in the hearts of everyone present. How could this man be so powerful? It was simply too terrifying. As long as he wanted to, none of the people present would be able to survive. The Jima sect master was certain that the bead was not taken by this man. If he wanted the bead, he could ask for it with his strength. He could even destroy the Chaotian sect and take the bead away. The Jima sect master was afraid that a certain lord would destroy the Chaotian sect. He said with a trembling voice, "Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Open the gate and let them leave." Without the order of the leader of the Jima sect, the disciples of the Chaotian sect had already made a path for them. Tower Master Luochen couldn't even block a single move from him. If they still tried to stop him, they would be courting death. More than half of the people of the 9 pavilions were injured by the ice dragon. At this moment, they all looked at Tower Master Luochen, waiting for his order. Tower Master Luchen's eyes were extremely gloomy. He stared in the direction of Di Biming and Yun Chujiu and said coldly, "Let them go." The people of the 9 pavilions couldn't wait to hear that. They quickly dodged, afraid that they would be killed if they were too late. He Xingjiu looked at the 10 feet wide path that they had dodged and couldn't help but straighten her back. It was good to have an awesome boyfriend. Di Biming and He Xingjiu strolled out of Chaotian sect casually and summoned a flying spiritual artifact. After the two of them boarded it, they left. After boarding the flying spiritual device, He Xingjiu smiled brightly. "Prince Charming, why have you suddenly become so cool and domineering? You are simply too awesome." Di Biming glanced at her indifferently and put the mask on his face back into his storage ring. Then he covered his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. He sat down cross-legged and began to meditate. He Xingjiu immediately panicked. She took out a bottle of pills to stop the bleeding and stuffed it into the mouth of a certain venerated. The venerated almost choked to death by this guy. Are you okay? What happened to you?" He Xingjiu asked with a sobbing voice. Di Biming shook his head and said in a flat voice, "I won't die. I just used a secret technique. I can't use my spiritual power for half a month. I'll leave the rest to you." He Xingjiu was still worried. She checked the pulse and rolled her eyes. She almost checked the body of a certain body. A certain body naturally didn't like being treated like this by He Xingjiu. He scolded her a little, but it didn't have any effect. Moreover, he couldn't use his spiritual power, so he could only let He Xingjiu do whatever she wanted. He Xingjiu checked several times and finally confirmed that there was nothing unusual except for the blood that a certain body vomited before. Then she let out a long breath and hugged a certain body, crying loudly. This fellow felt a lingering fear in his heart. If the gigolo died just like that, she did not want to live anymore. Damn Lan Luochen, she would kill him sooner or later. Seeing the crying, He Xingjiu frowned and said stiffly, "Don't cry anymore. If you want to cry, go to the side. You've dirted my clothes." He Xingjiu, could she take back what she had said? Could she feed her emotions to the dogs? No matter how powerful this gigolo was, he was still a lunatic. He wiped his tears and said with a sobbing voice, "That scum Lan Luochen might send people to chase us. What if I can't beat them? So, let's take the rejuvenation pill." Hearing He Xingjiu's words, a certain venerable's face stiffened. He had once made up his mind to never take that rejuvenation pill again, but now it seemed that he had no other choice. He remembered that he still had the antidote to the rejuvenation pill in his hands, and his heart calmed down a little. He nodded his head indiscernibly. Yun Chujiu considered that the journey was long and she was afraid that there would be other changes along the way. Hence, she only changed the two of them into the appearance of 12 or 13 years old. To be on the safe side, the two of them took the transfiguration pill and changed their appearance. When the transfiguration pill was mentioned, Hei Xingjiu asked a certain someone in puzzlement, "You said that I had taken the transfiguration pill. How did that scum Lan Luochen recognize me?" Di Baiming glanced at her. "Your eyes, attitude and way of doing things will give you away. Moreover, you were dressed differently from others at that time, so it will naturally arouse his suspicion. Not to mention that you used Lin Chuch's fake name. It would be weird if he didn't recognize you." Hei Xingjiu touched her chin. It seemed that she had to be more careful in the future. Otherwise, wouldn't the disguising pills be ineffective? The guy looked at a certain god and said, "Prince Charming, I can at least fool a few people. With your iceberg-like temperament, it's easier for you to be exposed." The certain god didn't refute her. He closed his eyes and began to meditate. Hei Xingjiu tactfully didn't say anything else. She held her chin and pondered about her next plan. The northern continent was very far from the southern continent, so there were too many variables on the road. She had to plan carefully. The guy suddenly remembered something and hurriedly said, "Prince Charming, we have to change to a flying spirit tool. Otherwise we will be easily targeted by that blue dregs." A certain lord nodded. The two of them found a valley, changed to a new flying spirit tool, and deliberately went in another direction to continue their journey. After a few days they did not encounter any big waves. Just when Hei Xingjiu was slightly relieved, they unfortunately encountered a robbery. At that time they passed by a valley that forbade flying, so they could only continue on foot. They didn't expect to be blocked by a few people after walking for more than 10 miles. "Hand over the valuable things or I'll kill you all," a bearded man said fiercely. Yin Shujiu looked at those people. Although their spiritual power was higher than hers, since they had fallen into the hands of bandits, their spiritual power wouldn't be much higher. Therefore this guy was instantly confident. "You mountain bandits are too unprofessional. You should say that this mountain was opened by me and this tree was planted by me. If you want to pass through here, leave some money to buy your lives," Hei Xingjiu said with a smile. Those mountain bandits were immediately dumbfounded. They thought that this little girl would be scared to the point of trembling when she saw them. After all, she was only at the first level of the spirit transformation realm, and that young man's spiritual power was even lower, only at the 8th level of the spirit illusion realm. "Stupid girl, stop talking nonsense and hand over the valuable things quickly. Otherwise I'll sell you to the furnace and tripod pavilion," the bearded man said impatiently. Hei Xingjiu curled her lips and said, "Get lost or die. Choose one yourself." Seeing the stunned expressions of the bandits, this guy felt that his acting was 100% awesome. After the bandits were stunned for a moment, they laughed out loud, "Big brother, this stinky girl is simply too audacious. She actually dares to threaten us." "That's right. These two little weaklings still dare to boast shamelessly and threaten us? They're really courting death. Big brother, don't waste your breath on them. Let's capture them first." Hei Xingjiu straightened her back and snorted coldly, "If you want to fight, then hurry up. What are you waiting for? All of you attack together. A bunch of trash." This guy immediately experienced the feeling of being awesome at that time. He had to admit that the feeling of being pretentious was really good. Those bandits thought that this little girl was probably not smart and they even let them attack together? Any one of them could kill her. Just as the bandits were about to laugh at Hei Xingjiu for overestimating herself, they saw the little girl release 5 puppets? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of you attack together, Hei Xingjiu said proudly. This guy rarely used these 5 puppets because he was afraid of attracting trouble. Now that he finally had the chance to show off in front of a certain lord, he naturally wouldn't let it go. The mountain bandits were stunned at first, then they curled their lips in disdain. It was only 5 puppets, these things were very useless, it was a piece of cake. Who would have thought that after exchanging blows, they would discover that these puppets were actually made of 1,000-year-old black iron. The worst part was that these puppets were almost turning into spirits. Every time they attacked their vital points they would see a ghost. Didn't they say that puppets could only defend passively and not attack actively? The bearded man felt that things were not looking good. His gaze fell on a certain body. Why not take this kid as a hostage first and then threaten that stinky girl? Thinking of this, the bearded man avoided the puppet's attack and pounced towards Di Baiming. Hei Xingjiu had been watching the battle. Naturally, she realized the bearded man's intention and immediately released a few silly cuties. 15 minutes later, the bandits were all dead. They didn't even close their eyes until they died. They couldn't understand how a little girl could have so many strange things. Heishinjio put away their storage rings and burned their bodies into ashes. Yun Chujio said to a certain god proudly, "Idol, did you see that? Actually, I'm quite powerful too. It's just that I don't have the chance to show it usually." A certain god said indifferently, "Just as if, Heishinjio, you will lose your baby if you chat like this." What Yun Chujio did not know was that not long after they left, a nearly transparent spirit butterfly circled around the place where they had fought a few times before continuing to chase after them. Heishinjio thought that the valley was not big and that they would pass through it very quickly. She did not expect that they would not be able to leave the valley even when the sky turned dark. Just as Heishinjio was about to find a place to rest, Di Baiming frowned and said, "Someone is coming, and there are at least hundreds of them." Heishinjio was shocked and blurted out, "Could it be that the companions of the mountain bandits are coming? It shouldn't be. Those mountain bandits look like useless little bandits. I don't think they have so many companions." Panda N0V1D Baiming frowned even more. "They are not bandits. They are moving very fast. Their spiritual power must be high. They might be from the Chaotian sect or the 9 pavilions." Heishinjio's heart sank. She couldn't beat either the Chaotian sect or the 9 pavilions. Was she finished with the gigolo? Something was wrong. They had changed their appearance. They might not be able to recognize them, so they had to stay calm. However, this guy felt uneasy for some reason. He felt that things were going to turn out badly. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.